Hey everyone, you're listening to the official podcast of 4PlayerNetwork.com. Check us out at that address for everything you need to know about our community, monthly giveaways, and nightly live streams. You can even support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4Player. And last but not least, you can catch the live recordings of these podcasts every single Thursday night on our Twitch channel. We hope to see you there. Enjoy. All right, welcome to the show, everybody. This is 4Player Podcast. This is episode 586. This is also part 2 of our 2018 award show. If you tuned in last Thursday night, was that Friday?
Thursday
night. Last Thursday night, we recorded part 1, where we went through the first 12 categories that we laid out for our award show. And tonight, we're going to do another 12 categories.
Yeah.
Should I read the categories?
Read the categories,
okay,
man. Let people know what's coming.
I didn't do that last episode, so for that
You
I do apologize.
have.
I know, I fucked up. Tonight we are going to do, this is again 3 segments, 4 categories per segment. Best looking game, best storytelling, best world building, best new character. Second segment, best ensemble cast, new category. Best character relationship, also new category. Best video game moment. Biggest surprise. And in our final segment, we're going to do biggest disappointment, the Asterisk Award, which we'll explain later, biggest regret, and the number 11, which is the game that we just barely missed our personal top 10 list. And obviously that's kind of a lead-in to our personal top 10 list, which we'll be releasing in the coming weeks. So that's what we're going to cover tonight. I don't really have a lot of housekeeping. Again, of course, I do want to go ahead and mention Discord, which is discord.gg/4player. Join us in there. But we're not going to be doing feedback. We're not going to be doing anything like that. We are jumping straight into it. Wait, Chris Davis, are the surveys still live?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Both of them?
Yes.
All right, we still have 2 surveys live for you guys to take for Game of the Year community stuff. If you want to vote for your personal favorite games of 2018, there's a survey you can take. You can also take...
It's real easy. You just have to send Chris Davis your social security number.
There's also a survey for your favorite 4-player highlights of the year. We would definitely appreciate your entries in both of those surveys. Doing so does enter you in a drawing for a free game for both of those surveys. So it's really easy. Just go do it. Maybe win a free game. We appreciate it. And it will help us put together some community-focused top 10 lists for you guys. You can find the links for both those in chat. You can find them in the show notes. And you can also find them at 4playernetwork.com.
If one of Chris Davis's surveys called you on the phone, it would say scam likely.
Yep.
Do your phones say scam likely?
Yeah, mine do all the time.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wait, on your cell phone?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why does mine not do that? I get like
it's a Google thing.
Yeah, but I have a Google thing.
But you
mine
have,
might be a T-Mobile thing.
You have a Google thing?
Wait, Brett, you have a Samsung?
Samsung.
I have a Samsung.
It might be T-Mobile then. I know only some carry. You have AT&T though, right?
Man, that'd be really nice because I get like
that's
20
true.
calls a week from random numbers that I don't
Yeah,
recognize.
they all say.
I don't answer them.
Is it all the
because
same? Is it all
scams
the
are
same,
likely.
Is it all the same area code?
No, it's jumping around.
Got one earlier today.
Wow, and that was a 512 number too.
Mm-hmm.
Weird.
Nick, I get a bunch of calls from this random because it's my phone area code is not from around here, and I get at least 4 to 5 calls a day from that area code. And I have an app that literally I just say, hey, if there's any area code, every numbers from this, just block them.
Nice.
And it fucking works wonderfully.
Well, anyways, enough about that. Wait, what are you doing? What are you doing, Brad?
Brad's trying to walk like an Egyptian over here.
Are you ready to start, Brad? We do
Yes.
start with you. We go around the couch. So per last week, we're going to start each category. We're each going to go around and say our runner-up and our winner for each category. And then once we finish discussing those, we will just throw out some honorable mentions before moving on to the next category. So,
I'm ready.
all right, Brad. Our first category this evening, as I mentioned, best looking game. Now, quick note about this category: we used to have best visual or best graphics, and then best art style. Mm-hmm. This is more of just kind of like combining those into one. It's just kind of like in general.
You look at something, you go, I like the way that looks.
Yeah, whether it's from a technical standpoint or an artistic standpoint.
Yeah.
either one could
So even a
qualify.
Switch game could win this. You know what I'm saying?
That sounds condescending, but yes.
That's the joke. Hey,
Scream a game, Brad.
So my runner-up for best looking game, and you know what? These are like related, and you're about to find out why. It's a little cheat. It's not a cheat. My
First
runner-up
category, you're already cheating?
is Moss
Cheat. Cheater. Cheat.
for
That
PS.
I
VR.
know what your winner is.
For VR, because Moss is not even a game I finished. I do think it was doing some clever stuff. I thought it was fine, but every time I played Moss or tried to play Moss, I put that headset on and I was just like floored.
No,
And it's not just the visual style; it's that VR experience. The way they do the surroundings, like you're not just looking at a little mouse in a forest. The forest is fucking around you.
There's like deer and shit, right?
Yeah,
Like-
in the background,
yeah.
they'll be like walking through a little pond,
Just-
like little like.
There's stuff in the happening in the foreground too. It was cool.
top to bottom, beautiful art style, just a polished ass VR game. Absolutely just a joy to look at. It's one of those ones I made my wife put on the fucking headset.
Wait, so when you played this game, you didn't get to the snake, did you?
Maybe.
That's
'Cause
like
the snake is
very
like one of the
early on.
no that happens.
If it's
very
early on,
late.
I definitely
That's like the
got
last thing to happen in the game.
Oh, then no, I didn't.
In the demo, when
Oh,
we
in the
played the
demo we
demo,
played,
they
yeah.
tease the
Yeah.
snake, but
Yeah.
the snake doesn't actually happen until the very end.
Gotcha,
did not
gotcha.
get
But
to
it's
the
so
snake.
it's one of the coolest fucking effects in the game.
Nope.
But it's like the last thing you do.
Did not
Nope.
get to the snake.
Mm-mm.
But you know what I did get to the end
No,
of?
thank you.
I did get to the end of Tetris Effect, which I think is the best looking game of the year, which is crazy, right? It's crazy because you're just playing Tetris. But in VR, when it's around you, every single level or, you know, part of every single skin, it just comes to life in cool and clever ways. And from beginning to end of journey mode, you know, through all fucking 30 some odd skins or whatever, just my mouth was on the ground. Just a wonderful experience to look at where I had to just let
Did
the
the VR
piece.
still pick up everything when you're on the ground?
What do you mean?
What?
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 No one making dad jokes over here.
Oh, okay. Like
That was like a stepdad joke at best.
Oh,
some of the skins,
ouch!
I
Get out of
would
my
pray
house.
that the pieces would start going slow just so I can look around
You're
at the
adopted.
stuff. And I like the way this looks so much that when you finish journey mode, you can unlock just the levels without the Tetris.
Really?
And I sat there for like an hour just like looking at the visualizations and like, you know, triggering the sound effects and stuff just because it was such a wonderful
You sound like a baby, just like looking at the things and triggering the
Yeah,
sounds.
some of them are kind of like the things dangling in front of
like
you.
little mobiles.
Yes,
Like,
but then there'd be ones that are a little more high concept, where it's like, oh, you're just looking at these camels walking across the fucking desert, and then it zooms out, and you're like on the fucking moon. It's just a beautiful thing to behold.
I
Okay.
thought I knew what your choice was going to be, but I guessed wrong. Nolan,
what's up, Nick?
what is your runner-up?
So, this one's kind of weird. My runner-up from this one, and I don't know if it's just it's because I might be hyped on it right now. But my runner-up for best looking is Beat Saber, and that's mainly because that game is fucking clean and crisp as fuck. Like it is like one of those games that's like,
baby.
well, yeah, it's VR, but it's clearly one of those things that it's just like someone knew what they were doing when they made it. Clearly, their UX, like the person who fucking designed this, was very smart. The game is just crisp and clean. It's very simple.
No caffeine.
What? Huh?
Crisp and clean, no caffeine.
There you go. What's coming at you is what you see, and I like that. At first, like the most basic levels, everything's like very simple. You have reds and blues, and that's it. But then in some of like the non-campaign levels and like extra stuff, they start changing the colors on you.
Yeah.
And it seems like there's some that it's like purple and like orange and stuff like that. But I really fucking every time I play that game, I just like sucks me in. But my winner for best looking game of 2018 is The Gardens Between.
Really?
Dude, this fucking game is
This is the one that's
Awesome.
kind of like on a diorama, right?
yeah.
Where it's
So
like,
you're on a diorama and you're turning, and as you turn it, time goes forward, and then you stop and you turn backwards, and you can manipulate time. But it's the way you interact with the world and how the world changes, and also kind of the era the world is in. It's definitely kind of like a late 80s, early 90s-esque kind of time frame. So you're interacting with like VHS tapes and stuff like that. But the way you interact with the world is really fucking cool, and it's like it's one of those things where it's a stylized graphics. It's like kind of cell shaded esque, and it's a really fucking pretty
And
looking
there's like
game.
big shit in the environments, right? There's like big objects.
Yeah, so when you're, it's kind of like the best way to describe this without seeing it is the diorama is not like to scale. It's the game stories, these two people interacting. Not to spend too much time on it, but the diorama is a representation of a point in their life, and so it's like, hey, during this time we were bonding over this, and so in this world, there's like a giant Jenga set, and when you fast forward time, the Jenga blocks start to tumble, and it affects. And so it's kind of like
Cool
that.
and
So,
abstract.
yeah,
So
I would
that's
definitely look into this if you haven't.
And
It's
you're
a
rewinding it too, and you're seeing it. Like,
yeah,
go
so you
back
see
and
like the
forth.
Jenga stack up and fall down
Yeah.
and stuff. It's really cool.
Subjective space.
Yes.
Oh, show.
Yep.
Oh, show.
All right, Crispy.
Was that it?
Oh wait, so
Yeah.
that was your runner-up.
That was my winner.
Oh, you're right. Okay, sorry. Crispy. What is your runner-up?
Okay. My runner-up for best looking game of 2018 is Red Dead Redemption 2.
I
Alrighty.
second that. That's a
That game looked
game.
pretty.
I will go ahead and say right here, this happens to me a lot. This is my winner.
Oh,
Pretty.
nice.
Surprising absolutely no one.
I agree with y'all. That game looks fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
Especially when you're down like in Saint Denis and like the sun's coming up over the buildings and stuff. My God.
The swamp.
The
I think,
swamp as well.
at sunrise.
Oh,
Dude, even,
man.
like the fucking weather effects when there's a storm going on, like the fucking you see leaves blowing in the wind and shit.
Dude, I replayed.
The
I was-
mountains, the snow.
I was capturing footage, and for one of them, I replayed the very first chapter where you're like following Micah and Dutch through the snow to find that cabin, and like that intro just fucking floored me. Oh my god, the snow and the way the moonlight's coming over the hills and like your lanterns and like following it, like oh my god.
There's a thing about lanterns in that game too, where like if you pull out a lantern at night, it has this really like interesting look to it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think it's all that realistic of like how lantern would behave in darkness, but it looks more like a lot of like older. It looks more like a lot of like westerns I've seen, like films. Like the one that really jumps out to me is like it looks like their visual touchstone for like the way lanterns would work at night is the movie The Assassination of Jesse James by
haven't
Howard
seen it.
Robert Ford. There's a scene in that movie very early on. It's like kind of one of the iconic sequences in that movie where they rob a train at night and they're all just like hiding in the woods wearing these like bags over their heads, and like the train's like lights are just flashing by the trees and they're holding up these like really hot like lantern, like bright pinpoint lanterns, but like everything is just like covered in shadow. Like,
Yeah.
it's fucking beautiful, and I think about that every time I pull out a lantern.
That also
in
reminds me of a sequence also in there's a mission where they rob a train in Red Dead where they're all hiding in the trees and they cut to the scene of the lights of the train light flashing through the trees. You see them with their holding their rifles and their masks
that
on
shit
stuff.
is like taken fucking verbatim from
Man,
that. It's
that-
fucking great.
That game is top to bottom one of the most technical.
And I'm playing on a PS4,
Beautiful.
so I mean, like, it still looks good, you know?
Technically speaking, from a technical and artistic perspective, I think that is just one of the most beautiful looking games. And like, so I'm playing post-epilogue stuff right now. I'm not going to spoil anything from there, but like every time I load this up, you're actually playing a lot of it in the part of the map from Red Dead Redemption 1, right? Which you don't get to spend a lot of time in the
Like New
main part of the
Elizabeth
game.
or whatever, yeah.
And
You
so-
spend
New
like
Austin.
almost no time
Yeah,
there because
so
you can't go very far into it.
Every time I load the game up now, like it opens with the character standing there, and like you see like the desert and like the sun coming up over the hill, and like it's just like I haven't even moved the character yet. I'm like, this is the most beautiful
Nick,
fucking
I will
thing.
say that that is
The
something that kind of I will agree adds to the beauty, in that whenever you load up a game, whenever you load in, it's always Arthur standing off the edge of a cliff,
Yeah.
or smoking a cigarette, or fucking peeing or something, just like whatever.
Ugh.
But it always just like kind of brings you in on, hey, I know you. It almost
Right.
feels like he's done something since you last signed off.
Yeah.
like you turned off your game, now you load it back up. He's done something.
He's just
between
waking
then
up
and
for the
now.
day.
Break
And yeah,
times,
exactly.
whatever.
I've really always liked that.
So
Dude, a
good.
lot like I find myself sleeping in that game just to advance like to morning, just so I can see like the golden hour
Yeah.
Yeah.
lighting. It's fucking
Exactly.
great.
So
But
this is
that's not my
everyone's
winner.
It's everyone's
We
winner.
could talk a lot
apparently.
about it, but my winner actually, I think
I know what it is.
what is it? What do you think it is, Nick?
I think it is Return of the Obra Dinn.
No, but that would have been
I hope
good.
it's Monster Hunter
damn.
World.
That would have also been a good pick.
I
Neither
hope
of those are
it's
correct.
Subverting expectations at every turn.
Subnautica?
It's not Subnautica.
Let him tell it.
Octopath
Dead Cells.
Traveler.
It is Doom. No. My winner is Gris.
Oh, I forgot you played that.
Play that.
I forgot.
Gris is like
Yeah.
fucking breathtaking.
Yeah.
Like
this is the
all like hand drawn,
best looking
like
game that
like
isn't Gris topic.
that's like it's all like watercolors, and like the whole point of the game is you're completing these sections of like platforming puzzles, and when you complete them, you're like adding a new color back into the world. So like at first you just have red, so you just get like reds and like oranges and like kind of like warm tones, and then the next one you get is blue, so you're going through a lot of like cool tones and like greens and blues, and they like start mixing together to make like purples and things like that. So like not only are the colors like vibrant and like incredibly like beautiful, but all the line work, like all the actual like hand drawn stuff is incredible, and all the animations for the character are like, I mean, they look like hand drawn animations. When she does these little things where like she'll like hit the ground and kind of like flourish her cape out and like land very gently, and you can just like see all the little like the texture of the animation in it. It's fucking like it's crazy.
Back when you were talking about adding color to the world, my joke was going to be that's actually inspired by a very artistic scene from The Blob 2.
God damn it, Brad.
But you kept talking, so I didn't
I'm
get it
sorry.
out. But it would have been.
I was on a roll. I just wanted to steamroll over you and say what I was gonna say.
It's a good joke, though. Because you were
sorry.
talking about your little cowboy movie.
I'm sorry.
Little cowboy movie. Fuck. All right, my runner-up. I already said my winner. My winner is definitely Red Dead Redemption 2.
Mm-hmm.
My runner-up for best looking game is kind of a less inspired choice. Y'all have a lot of wonderful inspired choices, but I also have to mention God of War.
Mm-hmm.
I think God of War is another game. It kind of
ugly game.
From top to bottom.
It is. There are so many. Oh my god.
There's a lot of things to look at in that game that are just like awe-inspiring.
Yes, like when you walk,
like the witch's tree house.
Oh
the
my
turtle,
God, the turtle!
Yeah, on top of the
Woo!
turtle. The Temple of Tyr, like
When
the lake, the fucking statue of Thor.
When you
the
first
fucking, yeah,
when you first
This is
arrive
yours.
at the mountain, the base of the mountain, and you see the giant that's
Oh,
like
yeah,
dead,
yeah.
the
dead,
dead
like,
giant.
Yeah.
Like oh my god.
I think a lot of it just has to do with it. We have a separate category for world building, and I think it qualifies there too. But like, so much of that world is so convincing and beautiful and amazing to explore because of specifically the way it looks, and not to mention it's such a departure from the way God of War has looked previously. And the just lighting, weather. Again, this is less of a
Our big snake.
The big snake is great. The world serpent. You mean?
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean the big snake, Nick.
But I feel like both my choices this year tend to be more from a technical standpoint, but like it requires a lot of like a super high attention to detail in both of these games. And it's super impressive that they achieved it from a technical standpoint. But like, my God, God of War is such an amazing looking game. Red Dead Redemption 2, such an amazing looking fucking game. But that's all I'll say about that. What are some runner-ups we want to mention?
So I had God of War.
Wait, you always do this. Honorable mentions.
That's what I said.
No, you said runner-ups you want to mention.
Oh, honorable mentions.
I had God of War as one. I had Red Dead Redemption as one. Dragon Ball Fighters.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking beautiful game.
My God.
Dude, like, it feels like you're fucking watching the
if
show.
that was top of mind for me, because if I had played more of it, which I just don't, I don't play a lot of fighting games, like it absolutely would have been up there for me.
Monster Hunter World, just because the actual art in these worlds and these maps, especially the Coral Highlands, so fucking beautiful.
Also, honorable mention, the one I thought was going to win Brad's category was Astrobot.
Well, I mean,
I think Astrobot is an incredible looking VR game.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, it's super clean, super vibrant. It's also like you play some VR games where like it looks good, but it's kind of blurry. I played a few of those this year, but like everything about Astrobot is like crisp and like just well visualized and orient. Like it's and not to mention just so many different ways they find to like bend your perception of
I
what
will say that all the
in a video
different
game.
worlds have really unique views, like the underwater one versus like the lava you want and stuff. Yeah, it's a good looking.
Astrobot would be a good choice in the same way that like Mario 64 would be a good choice. So much variety.
No one mentioned Oberdin, but I think that has a unique and compelling look.
I mentioned it when
I agree.
I was guessing when I was trying to guess what Crispy's winner was. But yeah,
Oberdin
is like
absolutely deserves mention. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse definitely deserves mention.
Wait, what?
Okay, let's move on to the next topic.
All right, we are 1/12 of the way done.
All right. Next category is I'm not ready. I don't have it.
It's already 10:30.
Best
God.
storytelling. Thank you, Chris Davis. I forgot I had the things up there.
Best storytelling.
So again, there's a little room for interpretation there, just in terms of how you get your story across. Brad.
Well, just best like narrative or whatever for me. But my runner-up is absolutely Witcher Tales Thronebreaker. Just not only is it a extremely well told story, like it's maybe some of the best writing that's ever been on a Witcher. Like the narrator's incredible, the acting is wonderful. But I think the reason this like for sure made a runner-up for me is because it does the Banner Saga thing, where you're constantly throughout the course of this game making there's all these little story vignettes, very Witchery universe story vignettes, where you're making some tough fucking choices.
Yeah.
And some of those choices have like serious effects. I'm talking about characters that you fucking adore just saying, you know what, I'm not cool with that. Fuck you. I'm out of here. And it really raises the stakes for every decision you make. And that's kind of what you're doing. That's how you're telling the story, is you're making these choices as Queen Maeve. And it's it really is one of the best story experiences I've had out of anything Witcher related via the books. I mean, whether it be the books or any of the Witcher games, I really love not just the story, but the way the story is told in this universe. And, the time period. I really like the time period.
Is there a Witcher in this game?
You're a Witcher.
That's a serious question.
Yes, there is. If I say that, will you play it? There is a Witcher in this game.
Hey, that game
I'm
also
just
looked
curious.
really good too.
Yes.
We already
Yeah,
said
that had a very cool visual style.
Did you mention that as an honorable mention in the last category?
No.
the last category for best looking? No,
Yeah.
I didn't.
Oh, just curious.
What's your
just
winner,
curious.
My winner is, of course, Return of the Oberdin. This game is all about the way its story unfolds in like a pretty unique way. When you first set foot onto that ship and watch that first scene, you have no idea it's going to go the places that it goes, and the reveal. Like the way the story and these moments are revealed to the player is just, it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. That's what makes playing through that game so compelling, I think, because as shit starts to get weirder and crazier, you're like, what the fuck is even going on here? I thought I was an insurance adjuster. This shit seems crazy.
I mean, you are an insurance adjuster.
Yeah.
And that
With
shit
a-
is crazy.
with a magic pocket watch.
Well, yeah. But when you're going in, you thought,
Yeah.
there's going to be some homicides here.
Right.
Well, there were some homicides there.
Yes, no one I
There
know.
were lots of homicides.
But again, we're not going to spoil anything, or not. I don't want to spoil anything. But the way you uncover that story through your own hard detective work made every story reveal, every moment so much more satisfying.
Yep.
And ultimately, the way the story wraps up is not in a traditional way, but it's still like surprisingly satisfying, like thumbing through all that stuff. And it's
I felt closure.
yeah.
Even though it's like maybe not what going into it's not what I would have expected from the closure. Like what kind of closure I would have expected to get. But it's satisfying.
It was a wild ride, and just the way you experience that story, I think, like hands down, makes it for me the best storytelling of the year.
Definitely the most unique storytelling of the year.
That's true.
Without
No,
question.
Nick, the best.
Well, no,
That's what this category is.
I know.
All right, moving on. My runner-up for best storytelling is Red Dead Redemption 2. And this was a game that during the Game Awards this year, it won, I think, an award for like narrative or something like that.
Among others, yes.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And when I heard that, I was like, that game doesn't deserve that.
You hadn't finished it.
I
at
hadn't
this point.
finished it,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
And I was maybe in chapter like 3.
Oh, yeah.
And so
Oh, you mean before the story starts?
yes. So then as I started playing the game more, and honestly, I would say story for like gameplay, I probably played like 3, maybe 2, half to 2/3 of my gameplay, like total, was in the first 3 chapters of the game.
Yeah,
Because I just spent so much time trying to fucking take in the world, I didn't really played as much to the story. And then I was like, you know what's getting towards the end of the year, I really just need to fucking knock this game out because I'm going to spend 1,000 hours on this. So I started just doing story mission after story mission. And when I started doing that, and like I kind of kept up with the story and I kept up with the characters, I really liked where the narrative went. And I really liked
when you hit chapter 6 and the conflict, the actual conflict really takes hold.
It doesn't even make sense to do side stuff. Like,
Yeah,
I felt no urge to do
I didn't
anything but that main story.
The only thing I
because of where the
did
characters
was
were
if I
at.
happened to run into like one of the like the actual big sub stories, like I would do that. But I wouldn't. If there was a fucking lady that was like, "Hey, Mister, do you want to race horses?" I was like, "Fuck off, bitch!"
not now.
Yeah, this is
Like, no.
I would shoot some of those people in the head. I swear to God, just because I'm like, this is not a good time.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Wait, quick question.
You caught me at a bad time. Bang.
Question. That lady who always does stop you to ask you if you want to
Yeah.
race horses, if you shoot her in the head, is she gone, or
No,
just like replace her with somebody
I
else?
encountered another guy, a guy
of
later
course.
who also wanted to race.
That's-
But
yeah,
did you
that
do
was just
those?
randomly generated.
Once, and I was like, never again.
Because after I did the second one, I did two. I got like a booster that made like my horses like stand. I don't know, something actual like beneficial to the game.
Oh,
So you actually, yeah, I got
Well, fuck.
for finishing this, you got like my horse's stamina drained less or some shit.
Yeah.
Do we
Anyway.
have a court reporter?
I don't think so. I don't think our
Someone's gonna have to
Maybe
go back
in
and
chat.
listen.
Chat, we need a court reporter.
we need a court reporter. Somebody write down what our winners are.
No,
for each
runner
category.
up and winner.
Okay, sorry.
No
I was
honorable
trying to make
mentions.
it easy on this
Well,
randomly
I mean,
picked court.
well, if we're following what Ed did, it's
All right.
runner up and winner.
Fair enough.
And then I will say that my winner for best storytelling, and I don't want to say like kind of what Nick was saying earlier, but is God of War.
Well, Nolan,
That game's just a lot of storytelling, right? A
What's
lot
up,
of
Nick?
telling of stories because
Yes.
they just tell you everything and
Yes.
nothing really happens. It's great. I love it.
Amir?
It's great.
Oh,
What, Nick?
sorry. We have the same choices,
There you go.
except mine are flipped.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, yeah.
Sorry.
So that actually was a tough choice for me, which one I wanted to go where.
And I wrestled
And-
with that for a while.
Oh,
too.
yeah, me too. So, and I know that it's people tend to like look down on like AAA games that are like winning awards, but fuck you, God of War is a really fucking good story. Like I really enjoyed how the story evolved from the very beginning when you didn't know anything about these two. I mean, you think you know about Kratos, but you don't. And then this boy. And then the story that evolves around them and the characters they meet and their relationships that they build and whatever. And throughout the very end, like I thought it was top notch.
I think it's. I think the reason why I like God of War so much is because, to me, more than any, I think you can maybe take a couple different things from this story. But for me, like more than anything, it kind of felt like someone learning how to be a good father.
Sure, that's
And
part
like,
of it. Yeah,
and
definitely.
like someone who based on what your prior knowledge of the character, like probably has no business being responsible for a child.
Oh,
child, you know what I
100%,
mean?
no.
So it's kind of like oh god, this is gonna be a train wreck. But like watching him like realize like
And
okay,
I mean, to an extent, it is early on.
Yeah.
It definitely. He is definitely not ready to be a single dad.
but like but it's also like you get this feeling of like, so Kratos is this like hardened, toxic asshole who's how is he going to be a good father? But like you immediately get the sense of like there's been a long period of time that's passed since we last saw him. He was obviously married to a woman who we never got to meet, but like you can feel the impact that character had on him.
Oh, definitely.
And you can see that like she's probably a huge reason, like part of like why he is the way he is now, and like how he's trying to do right by her, and also do right by his son at the same time, and like
even though she was dead, her presence was larger than life.
Well, it's the
Yes,
impact
thank
that
you.
she made
Thank
on
you,
him.
Brad.
Yes.
She was okay.
Okay. But no, like
What?
I
Sorry,
enjoyed this. I enjoyed the fact that they did flip kind of God of War on its head in that originally Kratos was an asshole going out to kill all these gods, and now he's like, "Fuck
good
off!
guy.
I don't want." No, it's not that. It's
Going
not just
out to
that.
kill all these
It's just
You know
more
what I
that like
realized, too, the other
these
day?
gods are now kind of getting involved in his life, and he's like, "Fuck off,
Yeah,
dude!
I
Like
feel
I don't want to do this."
I realized this the
anymore.
other day. It's like it's almost like it's flipped. Like by the time this game ends, it's like all the gods are coming to his door and like trying to take him out, just for being kind of like an invading force in their in their realm, and it's kind of like it's just the opposite of he's kind of getting his own, like getting
Taste of his own medicine.
Taste of his own medicine a little bit, which I thought was pretty awesome. And also having replayed a little bit of the beginning of this game recently while I was capturing footage, remembering a lot of like little moments where like you can see for a split second where he wants to show like his softer side and be like tell his son like how much he means to him, but like you see him like reach out to touch his son, and then he's like, no, I've got to like be strong and like not show him like my weak side right now. Like that, all those moments were like really effective.
Cool.
Loved it.
Chrissy?
My runner-up for best storytelling in 2018.
What? Hit us up.
Paratopic.
What?
No, you have to name a game.
Wait,
Yeah.
which one was this?
This has to be a game that more than just George played. That was the rule.
Wait,
you
was
didn't
this-
hear the rules.
Was this a Flash game? What is this?
I played it.
No, I heard this was pretty dope.
I fucking loved it. It
Did we
is
talk
great.
about this in the podcast?
It is
No.
it's a weird like linear narrative horror game
Mhm.
that is very weird.
Okay.
And
What's the
odd.
what's
Guess I'll Google
platform
it.
though? Like what?
It's on Steam.
Oh, okay.
What is this?
This was one of these games I think I played on Halloween. I played a bunch of like weird, creepy games
You
on
mean
Halloween.
during the marathon?
Suggested.
Mm-mm.
No, like actual Halloween.
Oh.
I was streaming. This was part of a collection of like weird, smaller Steam games that I played at Carlos's suggestion,
Oh.
and this was the one that really kind of like
Of
stood out
course.
to me.
We should have a topic
It's
called Carlos's 15-minute game of the year.
yeah, dude. I mean, they're usually pretty good.
I know.
Wait, is this game like a shorter experience? Like what was the game that we played last year that was like the house? Well, come on, I played it during the marathon.
Yeah, I know. Anatomy.
Anatomy. Is this like
It's
this
just
year's
you said
Anatomy?
last year, and that kind of threw me off.
Sorry.
It was a couple months ago.
Well, I played it a couple months ago, but it was last year. It was like the game of the year last year.
Yeah.
We want to know how many
It
levels
is kind
there
of like
are.
that. It's weird. Like, so like there's no. It's weird because the whole story, quote unquote, takes place in like scenes and vignettes. There's not really any dialogue. There's not like any narration telling you what's going on, and what is going on is fucking weird. And it has to do with like VHS tapes that like summon monsters or kill you or turn you into a zombie or something like that.
As one does, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and it has this. It does this thing kind of like what like 30 Flights of Loving does, where it kind of breaks one of those like taboos of video games where it'll just like take you out of a scene and put you somewhere else. Like it just grabs control of the game from you and like does hard cuts, which you don't really see in video games very often. I mean, they're like an absolute like essential part of like marrow and bone of like movie and television editing for narrative, but it's not something you see in video games very often, where you'll just be in a scene doing whatever you're doing, and then there'll be like a cut, or like you'll cut to a scene where you're like having an interaction with somebody, and when you're done, like it cuts to you in a car, and they keep doing like it's yeah, I don't know. I don't want to say too much about it. I really believe that this game is amazing and worth just experiencing, having no idea what it is, like I did. It's really cheap. It's on Steam, and it really will take you like, I don't know, 30 minutes to an hour to get through.
It is this year's Anatomy.
Yeah, it is.
I'll
And
play it.
it's
I'll play it
fucking
for
great.
our Halloween marathon
And it is
this year.
just the right amount of like creepy and weird and compelling. I think it's fantastic. My
Cool.
winner is Return of the Obra Dinn.
Yeah.
I think you guys kind of covered it pretty well, but what I will say is I really like what you guys were getting at the end of your discussion about it. What I really like about Return of the Obra Dinn is it's very it doesn't lie to you. Like it sticks to its guns.
It's true.
Like it says you're just here to find out how all these people died, and you do that, and you see a lot of like glimpses and shadows and shapes of like a larger story of something that happened, and you can piece it together pretty well with what you do know. But at the end of the game, they don't go back and say like, well, this was the whole story of the Obra Dinn.
Yeah.
You know, they kind of just leave it to like, you figured out each death and how everybody died. You don't really know who these people are. You don't really know that much about them, but you know how they died, you know.
Yep.
That kind of thing. And I like that they can they can give you enough information for you to kind of like put it together yourself without ever having to feel like, oh, we don't want the player to walk away not knowing what happened to the Obradin, you know, or like why this happened, because they totally just leave it, you know.
Yeah,
I love it.
that is really cool when you put it like that. Yeah.
Nick, you mentioned yours, right?
I did mention that my winner is Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yep.
I know. Sorry, this is once again kind of maybe the boring choices.
Oh, stop!
I mean, it is. It is kind of. It's kind of like the predictable choices. I would God of War and
Predictable
Red Dead
doesn't
Redemption
mean
2 for both of
boring.
these first. Sure,
They're
sure.
both good stories.
But
Red Dead
I do what
Redemption.
I do want to just. I play.
What?
Almost everything that I play has to I play it largely the reason I even show interest in it in the first place. A lot of the time has to do with if it has any narrative potential at all.
That does explain. Well, you tried to play 2 great games towards the end of the year with Into the Breach and Dusk, and you were like, not for me. I think it probably had a lot to do with the fact that neither of those have
much of a narrative hook.
much of a narrative.
Yeah,
That's
and
true.
that's absolutely possible.
Also, fuck you.
I know,
But you're
Sorry.
not wrong. I will say, this motherfucker, you know, as I was playing through this game, and y'all know I have my gameplay struggles
Yeah.
through this fucking game, but the narrative was what was pulling me through. And not just that, I kept hearing this voice in my head. I kept thinking back to the podcast where Crispy was telling like, you guys, you got to get to fucking chapter 4. Like, shit is going down, you know? And that kept, in the back of my head, kept me going.
Got to get to
So
that
it hurts
Braithwaite
my
Manor.
feelings a little bit that you didn't get through it.
Listen, I've got a lot of stuff going on in my life outside of this. So
like playing.
No,
made-up
I'm sorry
games.
that I haven't finished this game. Maybe part of it
I
is
was
just the
surprised
fact that I don't
I
want it
got
to
through it.
end. But
That is.
give me,
I
give
feel
me.
like
I would appreciate some space on this.
there's a couple things I want to say. There are very few, I play a lot of games for story, but there are very few games that stick with me or stay with me for a long period of time. There's been the handful that come to mind: The Last of Us, Alien Isolation, the original Red Dead Redemption. This game might be one of my favorite stories in a video game ever. I think it's amazing because it subverts expectation at almost every opportunity. It doesn't concern itself necessarily with making sure the pacing is constantly geared up. You spend a good chunk of time in this game not doing the most exciting shit, but I feel like that is all. It's very deliberate in the way that it deals out its storytelling, and I've said this a lot, and I feel like the best way to experience the story in this game is to do a mission and then spend a couple hours doing exploration and coming back and doing a mission and breaking it, because a lot of missions.
Like I said, that kind of, I think that's an okay thing to do early on. But the downside is this, that type of game I tend to lean when I do that. What the fuck was going on again? That's what always ends up happening. Is I do a story and then I go off and I spend 8 hours in the world doing random shit, and I go back to the story and I'm
You're
like,
right.
wait, who's
But
that?
here's the thing, I think this story,
Who's Dutch?
even when you're not doing main story stuff, just the way the world exists around you, the way you have these small interactions with NPCs, with people from your camp, they don't let you really forget what's going on. I didn't, and I spent for a good long up until I hit chapter 6, I was on average doing 1 or 2 missions and then spending 3 or 4 hours just exploring. And I never really had problems remembering what was happening, because a lot of the times I'm hearing conversations happening between people at camp. I'm seeing wanted posters everywhere. I'm seeing people in cities talking about shit that happened in the story and that kind of stuff.
We'll talk about this
Yeah,
in a future category
Sure.
down the
We
road,
do
but
got to go.
I interpret the strengths of this game a little differently than you guys.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Maybe even in a spoiler cast. Hey, any honorable mentions? I'd like to throw out Wander Song. The story is everything in that game, and it's
Delightful.
absolutely wonderful.
Celeste had a pretty
Celeste.
good story.
Yeah, for sure.
Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man.
Spider-Man had a fantastic.
I think
story.
Spider-Man
was pretty good.
Spider-Man on PS4, I think, has probably my favorite Spider-Man story in movies and video games. Period.
Well, that's crazy. You're crazy. You're crazy.
Have you seen Into the Spider-Verse?
Yes, and I like this more than Into the Spider-Verse from a story perspective.
You're
And
crazy. You're crazy, Nick. Nick, you crazy. I love it. I love how crazy you are.
I think Spider
You're
Verse.
like Stifler, man.
I think Into the Spider Verse is great, but I think it's great for a lot of different reasons than like.
I know. I
most
feel.
people
I
stop
feel
being
you
into it.
drifting away from it, and it
Let's-
pains
Honorable
me.
mentions?
Spider-Man was a fantastic one. God of War was an honorable mention for me. Yeah.
That's all I
No,
got.
there weren't. World of Light from Super Smash Bros.
Okay.
Man,
Was
Detroit
fun.
Become Human had an okay story.
No.
I want to
pretty
throw
good.
out Red Dead as an honorable mention for me. I don't want to throw out God of War as an honorable mention for me because I disagree with y'all. But I just want to be clear that
Everyone
me not
can be
picking Red
wrong.
Dead doesn't mean I mean to slide it because I do really
I
like
didn't
that
know you
story.
didn't like God of War's story.
Well, now you know. What's the next topic, Nick?
Oh, I don't know. Chris Davis, his best world building. This is that category I think you were alluding to a minute ago.
Best
Maybe I don't know.
world building. Well, what is world building, Nick?
This is more of like games that do really creative things to like build the lore up around you while you're playing it, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, sure. I mean, lore as an example is sort of like what you can use to describe maybe how you would like a world outside of just the physical world or the story.
Pause. Someone in chat is asking if I'm wearing corduroy pants, and I'm not. I'm wearing jeans.
I have a pair downstairs.
Why
son of a
are you
bitch.
pausing to talk about your
Nick,
pants?
I have a pair downstairs if you want
Just
to put them
ignore
on.
the person in chat. That's a bad question.
I got some corduroy pants.
My runner-up for best world building is Pit People. Pit People is just it is like to the T behemoth crazy, but it's probably the craziest world they've ever made, and I absolutely fucking
I agree.
adore that universe of just like all kinds of crazy beings.
It's pretty
from
wacky.
like, you know, aliens to robots to just everything. It's like everything in the kitchen sink in this gladiatorial style world of everyone's fighting everything else. I mean, cupcakes are healers. It's absolutely nuts. There's a giant space bear that's it's just a delightful, colorful, insane is the word, world that I just like inhabiting. You spend the game always coming across these like new enemy types of new crazy things that you can capture like Pokemon, and you collect them because there's so many, and you can put them in your team, and it's just a wonderful world to explore, to be in, just because it's so insane. You know, more people should play Pit People. It's just a great fucking world. But my winner is a game I didn't finish, but I love that world so much because of their execution of that vision, and that's Crosscode, which is a game where it's a single player JRPG, but you're in an MMO, and we've seen that before, you know, in other places, from anime to games like .hack, but I feel like Crosscode especially really nails the feeling of playing an MMO or any sort of like online game with other people, from the, you know, just the look of the game and kind of how the pieces are put together. Is a very, you know, MMO style thing, but it's really your party members, you know. It's when you're exploring the world with other players, the dialogue and the writing is just so perfect. They nail what it's like to play an online game with another person, and it's funny and it's charming, and I already love all of these characters because, you know, they fall into like certain archetypes. If you've ever played, you know, an MMO for an extended period of time, it's just everything is so right, and I just that maybe even more than like the gameplay and stuff is what's compelling me to go forward, just because I like, you know, when my people in my guild will like give me a call and say, hey, do you want to do this with me?
Yeah.
It's absolutely wonderful. I love it.
Cool. All right, Nolan.
Alrighty,
It perfectly simulates having friends, so you don't have to.
pretty much.
Yes, because
So my runner-up for best world building lore is Subnautica. I thought
considered that
that's
as well.
not something I really saw going into this game.
because you don't know.
I know, that's true. But then as soon as you start finding like information about the world and the fact that people have been here before, and it's the first time that you kind of you find that like
People in the audio have no idea what that meant.
and that's fine. You find that old used to be inhabited like space. that has like a bunch of like notes and diaries about like, oh, this is what happened, and oh, you know, we tried to cultivate food, and we tried to, and all that kind of stuff. And I don't often listen to audio logs and read
They're
notes in
good at
games,
this.
but in this,
I
like,
was
they
not
were fucking
expecting that.
intriguing. When
Yeah.
you find that one base that's like, I think 800 meters or something, that one's just like reading all of the shit that happened in this world is really fucking interesting.
And it's cool how you have to like you find people who have been through like the same thing you have, and like establishing bases like you said, like 800 meters below the surface
This
and
is
stuff.
not
Like
a good
it's
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much all of them ended in tragedy.
Oh yeah, and well, that's the thing, and that's why you don't encounter people, because they're not there anymore.
And I will say, like, those moments when you realize that there's more going on in this world. I thought it was just an ocean, and there was going to be lots of fauna and stuff, but like there's more going on.
Yeah.
And like sort of the reveal of that is pretty great.
Yeah. And then my winner for best world building lore is Thronebreaker, The Witcher Tales.
I almost did this, but I feel like it was kind of cheating.
Well, kind of for your last one too, and that's why I kind of didn't know where I wanted to put this one.
Yeah.
But when I've been playing a lot more of that recently, and it's one of those games that I love the Witcher universe.
Yeah.
And now I'm just finding more about that universe and more, and it's kind of and this was kind of the difficult part, is because when you were talking about it in the last category. What was the last category we had? Storytelling.
Yeah.
When you talk about it in that, I kind of took this more with like building out more of the world, not just the story. But
it's true. This is one of like the most accessible like representation of what the world of the Witcher universe is like. You know, like
definitely.
I mean, you go to Mahakam, you go like the Dwarven, place. You go to a place where there's lots of Scoia'tael. You learn about Nilfgaardians and everything that you need to really fucking understand the Witcher universe. And it
but
really
the thing that surprised me most about this was, I mean, I'm sure other people, and once again, we talked about this on the show before, but the bad marketing. But it's one of those games that, like, I thought this was going to be just like Gwent, extra special Gwent. But this game is literally just a Witcher story with Gwent in between the stories. That's like really all it is. Yeah. It's you walking around this world to get to the next story point and playing Gwent a couple of times along the way. But the story that, like, kind of Brad was mentioning earlier with Meave and all the stuff that they drop along the way is fucking fantastic. And just like you were saying, like going to Nilfgaard and learning more about this world.
It's really great.
Yeah.
The only reason I didn't put it is just because I felt like, well, it's that Witcher universe, but it really is a good
dude. It's fucking a great universe.
They nail it, and if you're a Witcher fan and you love that universe, you have to play Thronebreaker.
It's
hey,
good.
You know what?
What's up?
That was my runner-up.
Nice.
Oh, I didn't even know you were playing that.
Yeah, of course we played it. Yeah.
Mention every time I talk about it, you're like, I didn't know you were playing that. Yeah, Thronebreaker. You guys covered that pretty extensively. My winner for best building lore, world building.
Minecraft.
You know what? This is.
Building the
you know
world.
what? I was looking at my list, and I feel like I played a lot of games this year where interpersonal narrative was much more of a focus than lore and world building.
Sure.
So this was tough for me, but I went with Spider-Man. Because I think Spider-Man did a really good job. I really do think it did a really good job of inhabiting a 50-year-old story, like a 50-year-old set of lore and world building, but doing it in a refreshing and unique way with a lot of really inspired twists.
You feel very connected or very familiar with like what's transpired before that story actually begins within like an hour of like starting the game. Like you kind of feel for like where Peter Parker is in his life, where he is as Spider-Man, who he's like encountered before, where he is with Mary Jane,
right?
All that stuff.
And I think
very seamlessly.
I think the kind of like the adjustments in his like backstory and relationship with certain people, like making certain people more important to his backstory, or like changing like timing of like he was fighting the Sinister Six before this other guy even came around, which is kind of backwards, but like even what they ended up doing with some of the characters at the end of the game, which I don't want to spoil, and
That's fine.
it's not just like the villains of the game, but like other kind of like supporting characters. What ended up with them? I mean, those were some pretty bold steps that are like.
And also, just FYI, I know have you played any of the DLC yet for it?
No.
They kind of building off what you just said about supporting characters. They take 2 or 3 of those even further in the DLC in some
Damn it, I
pretty
need to play the
interesting ways.
DLC.
I need to get those, but
I heard it's kind of disappointing.
I mean, one
Brad,
of them
I
in
heard you're
particular is pretty
disappointing.
disappointing, but like 2 of them are pretty damn good.
But I think they did a really good job of giving like I mean, telling a Spider-Man story nowadays is so fucking hard because it's so easy to just be like, oh great, another Spider-Man story. I wonder if we're gonna see Uncle Ben die again. Like to do that and to make it feel familiar but still feel fresh and entertaining and new and exciting and to have someone like me who's pretty familiar with Spider-Man stories sit there going like, oh my god, what's gonna happen next? Like that.
I was kind of on the edge of my seat for
That's
a
exciting.
lot of the game. Also, shout out to J. Jonah Jameson's podcast.
That's pretty
Like,
good.
I feel like that's a really cool way to kind of like make the world feel more alive and like make your actions feel like they have impact. And also, what was the other thing I was going to mention? That like the social media stuff they have.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
when you go
that's
to the
pretty
menu
good.
and there's people like tweeting at Spider-Man. He has like his own Twitter account kind of thing, and like
Yeah,
that
a lot of
stuff's
the
really cool.
a lot of the little texture things they did to make it just feel like Spider-Man. Like I mean, even right
when you
down to-
fast travel and you're on the fucking subway.
right when he's on the
yeah.
subway, or
That's
like when
great.
you're just walking around, you're like pointing at people. Like it feels like Spider-Man, and it feels like his world.
Yeah.
It feels right.
Yeah,
that's good.
Exactly. Thank you, Crispy. Now, oh god, I'm so sorry, guys. I swear to
Be
God, I'm
sorry.
almost done talking about Red Dead Redemption 2 tonight, but that's totally my winner.
All right.
Did I mention my runner-up?
I don't think so.
My runner-up's God of War.
Oh, okay.
I know. It's only gonna happen in this first segment, and there's like no mention of it ever again. I swear to God. But
Oh, I might mention.
but
it
you know
again.
what? And for God of War, for someone who is not super familiar with like Norse mythology, I thought it was a really cool introduction to a lot of the characters and concepts of that mythology, and like having oh god, what's his name? I'm blanking. The talking head.
Kratos. Oh,
Mimir.
Mimir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Having Mimir like kind of talk to you while you're on the boat and like filling you
Dude,
in
I
on
fucking
I thought
love
it-
those segments when you're just traveling around on the boat, and we've talked about it on the podcast before. Mimir's telling a story, but this is one of those games, and I think Red Dead did it pretty well as in addition to. But like interruptions in the story are fucking handled so well that something's going on, and then whatever, and then you get in the boat, and he's like, "So where was I?" And he just picks up right where he left
it's
off.
so seamless. It's
Yes.
so good. And not to mention like some of the stories it tells are genuinely like really funny and
Yeah.
like and like informative. I don't know.
I
It's
think-
really cool.
So, like, kind of what I was getting at earlier when we were talking about storytelling in God of War, I think that, like, storytelling in God of War is kind of, like, almost non-existent.
Or literal.
They, like, a lot of the information you're getting is just stuff that's already happened, and it's, like, somebody telling it to you.
Yes.
That stuff is great. I think that game did a really great job of world building, and I think it did a really great job with like character drama and like personal interaction. So I think I agree with this being winning this category more than
Sure.
the storytelling.
That was my
one.
runner-up. My winner is Red Dead.
Sure.
There you go.
And for a lot of the reasons that I've already spoken about, but I think Red Dead is like by far one of the most immersive. It is the most immersive game I've played this year, and a lot of that has to do with just how much detail they've packed into like every little fucking.
You
detail of this
literally
game.
see the world being built.
Yeah.
You see houses being built in this game.
And things like progress over the course of the game, and like the way like every single thing you do is like so. It's designed meticulously to make you feel like you're actually doing it, like even if it's at the expense of like maybe the game not feeling as good for some people, but like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it may be annoying because like, oh, it takes so long to get on and off my horse, but like everything is so real, and I think like realistic, and I think that is super awesome.
I agree.
You know what I find really interesting about Red Dead and Rockstar games in general
What's that, Crispy?
is that from a 10,000 foot view, these games are like about America. You know, they're about like points in American history.
Yeah.
But almost all of the details are are contrivances. Like they're all completely like made up. Like the America and Rockstar's America isn't even made up of the same states that we know.
Yeah.
Like,
Correct.
you know, they're not the same cities, not the same states. They don't have the same history. They like there's so many like tiny cultural details that are just like completely different, and it's like I kind of always wanted to see them like really open that up more.
It's because they're fucking
you know?
British people, and it's their perspective is kind of interesting. It's like Earthbound, which was the Japanese perspective of America. It's kind of cool.
It is. I mean, I think it is really interesting, and that's why like,
Sometimes
I'd like
a
to
little
see
too
them like.
cynical, but not in Red Dead 2.
Like, what if they just dropped something where they were like, "Oh yeah, well, remember the second revolution that took place like 20 years after the first one?" Like that kind of like they never really draw. They try to keep it in line like with like our general idea of America, but like I think it would be really fucking crazy if you like could if they fleshed out like a unified history of their version of the
Rockstar's
world
America.
and like how different it would look from the real world. You know?
Yeah, that would be really
I
interesting.
like to give an honorable mention, shout out to Wandersong and Frostpunk, which does a really good job of setting up that world and
Frostpunk's good.
just very. I mean, honestly, just that environment, that setting, as fucked up as it is with the decisions you make, is kind of what was driving me forward in that game.
Oh yeah.
Shout outs for
Definitely.
me or honorable mentions were also Subnautica and Spider-Man, like we already talked about. I think those do pretty awesome job.
Is
at
there,
world
I
building.
almost want to say honorable mention Metal Gear Survive.
Fuck you.
Just because, like,
Fuck you.
that is fucking crazy.
Fuck you.
I
Like,
can't believe I'm
to
saying
take-
this, Crispy, but get out
To
of
take
here.
that story in that direct, like to just do something like that is fucking
Best new character. Fuck you, Crispy.
okay. Fine.
Just barrel over that.
Oh,
I'm not saying it's a good game, but like the idea, like I don't know,
even Chris Davis disagrees with you.
And he played like 400 hours of that game.
dude. But like it's
150.
like it is a super like historically based like action tactical game, and then they just like did this thing where they're like, well, we're gonna open up a portal to a fucking another alternate reality that's filled with crystal zombies and shit like that. It's like fuck, man, the utter balls. That is bold.
That is,
Fair
it is bold. I'll give you
Fair.
that. It is bold. All right, our final
Enough.
category for this segment is best new character. This can
Okay.
be a playable character, could be a supporting character, as whatever. Best new character introduced in 2018.
I didn't want to put this as a runner-up because I know it's going to get a lot of conversation, but I got to be honest with myself. I can't just leave him off because I know we're going to talk about him already. And that's Arthur. He's my
Yep.
runner-up for best
He's
character of the year.
He is my winner.
And
I'm
I'm-
so sorry,
He's
guys.
my runner-up as well.
He's my winner.
Wow.
So should we all talk about
So
Arthur?
hold
Yes,
on. So yeah, so let's actually kind of bring it up again. What I mentioned earlier. I was not a fan of Arthur early on.
Yeah, no one was because
I-
he felt like an imposter.
Yes.
But by the end, you're like, who is even John Marston?
Yeah.
Fuck that first game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, some of the
I don't know
side
about
so,
imposter.
This is the best.
It's the whole Doctor Who syndrome. You're like, this
Correct.
isn't my hero.
Yeah,
this
this
isn't my guy.
Yeah.
It's the best Rockstar
And now
character
you'll like
ever,
die
easily.
for him.
So there's a side story, and Chris Davis will probably remember her name. What's the lady that lives in the Northeast? Charlotte.
Charlotte.
Yes.
Did you do the stuff with Charlotte, Brad?
Yeah.
She's
Up by
The widow who lives. in
Yeah,
the
she's the
cabin.
widow.
yeah.
Yeah, dude, some of
the
that
one
shit-
whose husband died.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, like that
Oh,
stuff was great. I mean, no,
It's a
that's
Stranger
a side
Quest.
story. No,
It's
I
Stranger
don't- when you first
yeah.
meet her,
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh, my husband died,"
Yeah.
and Arthur's like, "Oh, okay." Like, what's going on?
She's killing him.
Yeah, that's the whole point of that. But some of those, and they're just like you don't. That's the thing is you don't have to do it. But I think some of Arthur's best interactions with people in this world aren't even in the main story.
yeah.
Yeah.
It like the thing is, I think they did a good job of the side stories that you interact with. Definitely are dependent on where you are in the story. That plays a big role of when you can do these stories because obviously, as your character,
What's really cool too is like depending on when you decide to do some of these missions. Well, one you can miss some of them, but if sometimes there's like a 3-chapter like window when you can do a stranger mission, and like the dialogue for those stranger missions will change depending on when in the main story you're deciding to do them.
but anyway, yeah,
Which is pretty
Arthur. I really fucking like the character.
It's the best. It's the
His-
best Rockstar character they've ever done.
When you start to
And-
realize, I think more like Red Dead Redemption 1. Obviously, I love John Marston in Red Dead Redemption
Of course.
1, but like
So, sorry,
Well, let's
continue.
not
Well, the thing is,
Finish.
I know, but I think it took this game in conjunction with Red Dead Redemption 1 for me to kind of get the full big picture of oh, now I kind of understand the whole point of John Marston's redemption, the full picture. But
Sure.
Red Dead Redemption 2 does such a good job just of poignantly showing you this character and he has a very specific by the time this game is over, it's oh.
His arc is
his redemption, it's I don't know. It's such.
his arc is unpredictable.
Before we get,
Something
hold
of
on,
John-
okay. Before we get too far, so yeah. Speaking of John, and I think that's one of the reasons I didn't like Arthur early on. Well, because John's face and voice are so unique.
Yes.
That was always something that stuck with me in Red Dead Redemption. When I got to 2, Arthur seems kind of bland to me at first. His
first he
his
does,
voice
yeah.
is nothing special.
Yeah.
His face is kind
I
of
thought
the
that with
problem.
the trailers and
Yeah,
stuff.
the problem is because this game allows you to change his hair and change his hat and changes everything. He's not special. John was special because John was a character. Yes, you could change his outfit and that's it, but his face was always the same. His voice was always the same. He looked the same, and that was a character. Now that Arthur Morgan is this kind of customizable guy, they're literally the whole first part of this game, my Arthur had a big bushy beard. And then maybe chapter 4 or 5, I shaved it all off and I just had a handlebar mustache. He looked like a completely different fucking character. And I think that's one of the problems why I couldn't get attached to him early on. And then when I left him more clean shaven and actually see his face during cutscenes, I was like, oh, he actually does kind of have some emotion going on. It's kind of hard to tell when he's got a big fucking beard covering his face.
He's a very well. I think first impressions across the board are probably going to be that he was. The concern was that he was going to be maybe a forgettable character, or
No, 100%. That's what I thought.
or that he wasn't going to be able to fill the shoes.
I think
John's
his
shoes,
character arc could have gone a certain way that would have been pretty predictable and maybe ultimately had made him a less memorable character. But something happens during that story that kind of shifts both your perspective, and his perspective, and it really turned that character into someone that not only have I not played in a Rockstar game, but maybe not any game really. In the way I kind of think about his arc, and it was, I think
it was a bold move too.
Yeah.
I think on Rockstar's part.
Yeah. Which
But and I going back to what I said during the storytelling category, I just feel and a lot of this has to do with the way they portrayed the way they wrote and portrayed Arthur. I think they kind of subvert your expectations about where his character is going, where that story is going. Even though it's a prequel, where everybody kind of ends up.
Yeah.
Somehow they still managed ways to surprise me, all the time.
Yeah.
In this game, and I think a lot of that is a testament to how well Arthur is portrayed.
I agree.
What were you gonna say about John, Chris?
I'm actually going to save it for the next category.
Yeah. Hey, because
Oh, okay, I get you.
that was my runner-up. My winner is Queen Meve from Witcher Tales Thronebreaker,
God,
who might
play
be my new favorite Witcher character.
Wow.
She's that fucking awesome.
And she is the playable character in Thronebreaker.
she's the playable
Yes.
character. in
We don't get
Thronebreaker.
enough awesome lady knight characters.
Oh my
Oh, that's
god,
very
and
true.
she's so good, and the decisions she makes are so tough. But when you make that choice, and when you choose it, you're I am so unsure about this, and when you click
But when
it,
she's
but
so-
what she
is so
says
sure of it.
afterwards, she fucking sells it.
Yeah,
and she'll sell it, especially in the
yeah.
moment, because she's leading this army, and she has to make these tough decisions in front of people. So when you make it, you're okay, I'm cool with it now. But then you'll have moments where, she'll be talking to people in her camp and whatever. And maybe she kind of second guesses some of her decisions or just kind of the morale or the state of things going on in the story, especially her relationship with her son, who's a big, antagonist in the story. So she's as complex as any Witcher character, but she's just this wonderful force.
So-
I love making decisions as me.
That's something.
Have you finished this game yet, or are you still playing it?
I'm 30 hours in.
It's a long game.
It's a very
so
long game.
so Brett, and that's something I never really thought about, and I'm glad you mentioned that I agree with that, and that's not something I thought about until now. But looking back on some of the decisions I made, and they're not It's not like, oh, do you want red or blue? They're like tough decisions you have to make sometimes.
fucking
Like,
yes.
do I want to kill this person or let them live? Kind of like some tough decisions. And yeah, you're like, but as soon as you click it, the way the dialogue, the way the actor reads out Meve's lines, and like, it's just fucking like, okay, I feel, no matter what, I'm sure if I had reloaded and chose the other one, I probably would have agreed with it just as much.
And later in the game, she has to make so many tough choices because she goes to Mahakam to talk to like the elder dwarf because like, hey, you know, the second Nilfgaardian War just broke out. We need your fucking help, dwarves, right?
Yeah.
But the dwarves are obviously, they're very like, you know, solitary. They don't want to help anyone. They're very, you know, once you're in there, it's fucking neutral. And you're trying to win his favor so he can lend you like some dwarven help, which is so important, right? Because these are the Nilfgaardians. They're these horrible fucking people. You know, they have slaves and stuff, and you just want to win, right? But you have to make so many tough decisions because you know if you don't go this certain way, you're gonna just piss off this dwarven elder. Right, as you're traveling through that land, and oh my god, like Meve is just like in front of my army. I'm having to tell them, I'm having to do and sit and choose these horrible things. But I'm like, listen, it does. Think about what's important here. Think about the big picture. We need their fucking help. She's so awesome. She's so great. This story's great. Fucking play Thronebreaker, people. I love Meve so much.
I will.
I want a Meve Figma. Someone make that.
Nolan, what's your winner?
This was a tough one for me, but I had to look back on, and it's one of those things where it's like, the longer ago I played a game, the harder it is to kind of get back into those emotional feelings, you know, like how I felt back then. But my winner for Best New Character is Hank from Detroit Become Human.
He's an honorable mention for me as well.
I really fucking liked his character. And I just remember when I was playing that game, the more you got to know him, like, it became a game of, I want Hank to like me.
Yeah.
Like when you were Connor, like no matter what decision I made, it was all Hank Senpai noticed me. That's all it was me trying to, and I fucking liked where his story went. I can't, his stuff's kind of spoilers.
Can you stay in the car in that one mission where he's like, you stay in the car? And I'm like,
No one stays in the car.
I sat there for like 5 seconds, like, what if I just stayed in the car? Would he like me then?
Yeah, well, exactly. All of my decisions were make Hank like me. And that's because I liked his character. And I wanted him. Obviously, the whole point is he's the, you know, the gristled detective who doesn't like fucking robots coming in. And it's like, well, I got to show him that robots are cool. And we're going to be best friends. Yeah. And then you start kind of learning why he is who he is and why he feels how he feels. And I fucking like I just really like, Mr. Krabs Reborn.
That's also like the one thing. Like I thought about Detroit Become Human for, I considered it for like best storytelling or best ensemble cast and stuff like that. But then I was like, so much of like how you feel about that game could ultimately be tied to specifically how your experience played out. Because,
of course.
Because like that game can have. I finally saw the thing that you told me about that happened in your game at the end, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, do you remember when we had that discussion when we were first time at Detroit? How the end of your game took that weird fucking left turn?
Because it was a while ago.
Your game took a wild left turn that I was like, that was so far opposite of what happened in mine that I was like, this is ridiculous.
I sang a song with one of my characters.
What?
It was fucked up.
Okay. Are you talking about the Holocaust?
Yeah. None of that happened in my game. So, like, I didn't even have that perspective.
That happened for me, too.
I didn't even have that perspective, so I didn't have that, like,
it's
gross
okay
feeling.
because that was a bad scene.
That was my favorite gaming moment of 2018. Robot Holocaust.
Jesus.
But, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't have that experience. I didn't even know it existed until Crispy told me about it.
I really, like...
Which is crazy.
I want to be happy with you guys, and I think that Connor and Hank were, like, a highlight in an otherwise, like... abysmal experience.
Yeah, I mean, Connor is an honorable mention for me as well. Yeah. I really like that character and
they're fine.
His relationship with Hank.
They definitely were like the thing keeping me going. It was like Connor and Hank were the reason why I played through the whole game. Because I wanted to see how their story ended.
Right, well, that was mine.
Crispy.
My runner-up for Best New Character is another Red Dead character, actually.
Oh my god, I think you're about to do what I'm about to do.
What?
Oh wait, no, you're not. I already know what you're... Sorry, go.
You know who mine is?
No, I think I know who yours is now.
Who?
It's different
Tell
from
me.
mine. No, I think it's John.
No.
Damn it. Then it's probably mine.
It's the horse.
Joe's not a new character.
Who's yours?
My runner-up is Sadie.
My runner-up is Sadie.
There you
My
go.
runner-up is Sadie Adler. I love Sadie Adler. She's great. She's one of those
She's
characters
no
where, like,
Bonnie.
every time I
She
see...
is the new Bonnie.
Every time I see her marker on the map, it's like, oh, Sadie wants to talk with you. I'm like, that's the next mission I'm doing. Gonna
Yeah.
hang out with Sadie.
I really like Sadie as well.
Sadie's
but
the anti-Bonnie.
I thought
but-
there was like, I don't know.
True.
I agree because I like that character, but at the same time, I really wanted more of that character.
You know what?
Sure.
Like, this is
like her back. There wasn't much to her backstory. It was just her yelling about my husband. You know?
No, but here, like, the reason why I like Sadie, aside from I think she has a really awesome
She's just
personality
cool,
and
yeah.
she's cool to talk to and hang out with, but like the way she was introduced to the story is kind of unexpected.
Her presence
Actually-
when
and,
she
like-
first joins the gang is like really refreshing because she's like the one new person who hasn't like I mean she's not Kieran because Kieran's just like hanging out on the fucking fringes and it's just like, well, I hope nobody hurts me today,
Fuck
but
Kieran.
like she's like kind of trying to okay, but come on man.
But also, like, she
Kieran-
is a
Kieran
bit. She is like largely responsible for like humanizing this otherwise large group of like shady, like unlikable
Sure.
people kind of at the beginning because like they see this woman in need at the very beginning and instead of taking advantage and like robbing her or whatever, like
Yeah.
they take her in and like say it's gonna be all right, we're gonna help you. We don't-
They all like live their roguish lifestyle because it's just like who they are.
Oh,
yeah.
But she's the one who's there because like she's got this like fiery passion of like revenge from something that just happened to her, you know, like she could very easily not be there, you know? And the others all feel like they just kind of belong there. And then she becomes like the fucking craziest of all of them.
And
like,
which is, I think her arc of like her from like being very timid at the beginning to being like just wildly outlandish towards the end is like super great.
I got to be honest with you. I didn't know. I forgot where Sadie came from.
Oh, you forgot because it happens really early in the game.
In it. Well, I guess
this is
right.
in chapter
that's like,
1.
Yeah,
it's
that's
the
like
fucking
that's
cabin they
Sadie.
go to.
That's
the
one of
mountain.
the first thing that happens.
You meet
Yeah.
her in the first 10 minutes of the game.
You're the
That's
fucking lady
Sadie?
that
Yes.
you pull out of the fucking
Okay,
attic
but
of
you
that cabin.
understand, like, that character kind of just goes away
She
for a
does.
while, and when she comes back, it's like completely different.
You're like, who?
So, like, I'm not surprised that I
Well,
forgot.
that's because when you find her, she's very distraught and she's not herself.
Yeah,
And then
okay.
when you finally meet her again, she is herself. But I agree with you. The
completely
time between
forgot
when
that
you
that
meet
was-
her and when you start interacting with her again is such a fucking
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah, it is.
In fact, I was thinking that when I was playing the game later on in the game, I'm like, was Sadie that person? And I was
Yeah.
like, no, it couldn't be that person.
Yeah.
Those were two completely different people.
She's the woman that was hiding under the floorboards at that cabin at the beginning.
Yeah, that seems crazy to me.
And that's
Which
that's
makes
why I
sense.
like her. I like her arc going from like this really
But
terrified
that- yeah,
like
okay.
woman to being like
that
a super,
arc doesn't happen on screen, though.
I mean,
But whatever. I mean, you're right. Whatever. She's a really cool character. I agree with you.
That was your runner.
also I was gonna say just real
That
quick.
was my runner-up.
Still gotta
Every
choose
time
one.
I see
No,
Sadie
my
on-
winner's Arthur Morgan.
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
every time I see
then we're
Sadie
done
on
with this
screen,
category.
I kept thinking to myself, if they ever make, Red Dead DLC or a Red Dead 3 or something, I know that's a long way off, but like Sadie would be an awesome character to like, because they've so far they've included characters from previous game and the new game, so it's kind of like maybe they're setting her up to be like the main character in like DLC or the next one or whatever. I think she would be awesome.
Okay.
She's wild, man. She's
I
crazy.
gotta say, and Arthur. We talked about Arthur. I gotta say, I was an honorable mention. I feel like he doesn't get enough credit, but I do think it's not technically a new character. But Dutch is a really interesting character.
Hold on.
in Red Dead Redemption 2.
Hold on. Dutch had like no character in the first Red Dead Redemption.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
New
So-
character, quote unquote.
Hold on.
Okay.
Is it my turn?
He did.
A little.
I mean, he was
The build up and then the reveal of Dutch and Red Dead was like
part of Red.
was
Okay.
good.
See, I don't remember all that.
was pretty good.
But
I was
but
not a
it gave
fan
you
of it.
it gave you zero background to who he was before.
Well, I mean, he's just
Aside
he's
from
the
John
big bad and you meet him and he's just like this fucking horrible evil person. When you first meet him, the first thing he does is like shoot some woman.
Shoot some
like,
woman.
some
Yeah.
innocent
I watched
woman,
that,
like-
some of his scenes.
But,
yeah, but like so he didn't have like this huge amount of depth.
All right, he's not a new character.
But
So no, I agree with you, Brad. Dutch was actually one of the people I thought about having in this category, but I didn't specifically because he is not new.
Another honorable
There,
mention.
similar with
there were moments
Kratos.
in that.
Similar.
Yeah, I put Kratos 2.0 as a mention, but another honorable mention from Red Dead, Charles.
Charles,
I like Charles a lot.
They're well, okay. Well, I guess we're not talking about Dutch anymore.
Hold on, a quick honorable mention because I can't remember his name. It was like Mickey or something. It was the soldier that you interact with, and the thing is, in Red Dead. So yeah, and there's this. It's not like a side mission
the
or
old beggar guy.
Yes,
that you talk to him every.
Yes.
Yeah.
How many times did you talk to him though?
2 or
Because
3.
I
the guy in
talked to
Valentine?
him like
The guy in
10
Valentine?
Yeah, I talked to him like
Oh.
10 times. And the more you meet him, as it's not Lenny. I don't think it was.
No,
Lenny.
Lenny's the guy
Oh
you go
yeah,
drinking with.
yeah. Never mind. But this guy, the more you talk to him, you start learning more about his past. And like, I don't remember you got to the part where he calls you like King Arthur or whatever.
No,
Or
I
like,
didn't.
dude, if you can interact with this guy like 10 times, and the more you talk to him, the more you learn about him. And he's actually kind of a fucking interesting character. But the thing is, it's all completely optional.
I need to
it's
go talk
just
to
this
him.
guy on the side of the fucking road who
like, begging
like
for
begs
money.
for money.
I wonder if he's still there after the game's over.
Hosea.
Yeah, I was gonna mention Jose as well.
Hosea.
Jose is great.
I liked
Jeez.
Hosea.
I'd like to throw out as honorable mention Sylvando from Dragon Quest XI.
Sylvando was really good.
Is pretty dope.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I got Sylvando. He's cool. He's
Yeah.
cool.
I played way more in this kind of game of the year stuff. I looked back. I played like 50 something hours of Dragon Quest. It's like
It
I
actually
played a
really
lot
bums
more.
me out that you didn't get through that game because
Oh,
you.
it bums me out too, Brad.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe that'll come up later. Mimir's also an honorable mention.
Namir is good.
All right.
Oh, Brock and Sindri. Total
I liked their
shoe-ins for best character.
Yep.
Damn. So
Alright.
good. All right. That is our last category for this segment. We're going to take a break. And
Yep.
as we do during our award show, we play a sample from one of our
Who's going
soundtracks.
first.
we have 2 more categories for the break.
No.
No, we're doing 3 breaks. I mean, we're doing
breaks.
3 segments.
Nolan,
Yeah.
are you ready?
Yeah.
So, Nolan, why don't you go first? What is your soundtrack of the year?
My soundtrack of the year is Frostpunk.
Oh, yeah.
This the one of the things I loved about this soundtrack is just like this is a game of desperation and no hope. And the soundtrack just it doesn't like
Does it drain you of hope?
no, it kind of like it's one of those things where it's like you hear it and it's like somber and it's not too exciting, but it fucking just like, oh, when the daylight comes and you like, oh, when like a storm comes, like you just feel the music and it feels like it just belongs in the game.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to play a sample from the Frostpunk soundtrack during the break. So if you're watching or listening, don't go anywhere. We'll be back after this quick break. Show, everybody.
We're only 1/3 of the way through.
We're
I know,
only
and it's
one-
after 10, so
We are only 1/3 of the way through this show. Let's get this party rolling. Chris Davis, hit us with another award category.
Fucking go.
Best. Oh God, I promised I wasn't going to talk about Red Dead, but here we are. Best ensemble.
That's Ensemble Cast. My runner-up, this doesn't have to be complicated, but I know we're all gonna be talking about Red Dead and stuff. But for me, my best runner-up is Dragon Quest XI. I think that's the strength of that
Brad.
game.
That's my winner.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I can see it. I'm like 15 hours in, and I don't have.
Dude.
I'm missing one character.
Let me say my thing. You got
But
your
I
own.
already agree.
Ooh, yeah, you're missing
lady.
You're missing Jade and Rab.
Yeah, you're
but
missing
they're
J.
together,
Rabbit.
aren't they?
Yes.
Okay.
I will say, I've played my fair share of Dragon Quest games in the past. I'm not like a huge series fan.
Mm-hmm. Oh, neither am I.
And when I started playing this, I'm like, this is kind of the same stuff. This is Dragon Quest again. But it wasn't until I kind of got, more and more of a party in these characters and the cutscenes of them interacting with each other that I realized, I think what's pulling me through this one, granted I've only played 25, 30 hours,
Ooh, I'm at like 50 something.
I know, I mean, I just couldn't get through it, but it's honestly, it's this cast, and that'll be what gets me through this game. I thought it was, I've heard good things about like Sylvando and stuff, but honestly, it's all of them. It's the whole fucking cast. That's awesome, and I hate that I can only have 4 in a battle because I love all of them.
It is nice that you can swap them out whenever. But hold on, so don't get me wrong. Everyone talks about Sylvando. Sylvando is great. He's not my favorite though.
Who is your favorite?
Dude, it's tough. I do like Jade a lot. I like the relationship.
Veronica?
Yeah, Veronica and
Veronica's
Serena.
the wee one, right?
Sassy?
Yeah, it's the very sassy Veronica and very kind of straightforward Serena.
The older sister
Yeah.
of the two.
Yeah.
I use both of them.
Dude, so do I. But no, it's just like Eric's a fucking good character.
Yeah, he's
just
good.
the way they interact with each other, the way they interact with the world, and how they have like just kind of differing opinions on what's going on and different approaches to stuff. I really do like that cast. I wish we got a little more of them in the world, similar to like early Dragon Age.
But you can always talk to them.
I know you can talk to them whenever. What's up?
Did I mention Dragon Quest XI as an honorable mention during best looking game? Because I feel like that's
No.
also really amazing.
So
looking.
now you never get to.
Yeah, you never
it's
get to.
not
Sorry,
on the
late
Strike
men-
it from the record. Court
late
reporter,
on,
which
late
doesn't
mention.
exist.
But yeah, no. So like I said, that's my winner. I fucking love that cast of characters, and like you were saying, Brad, that's one of the driving factors when I played this game.
Any good villains as well, or anything like that, or outside of the main characters?
Any good dragons?
There are some dragons. Yeah, there's some pretty good dragons.
We haven't started time traveling yet.
What?
So
Wait, that
who
game involves
knows?
time travel?
Crispy.
Just wait.
Game's good.
But like, is it cool?
Yes, it is.
Wow.
I don't know. I'll tell you in 80 more hours.
You haven't got to the time travel stuff, Brad?
No.
Oh, I have.
Okay.
It gets good.
Okay.
It's fucking good.
It's a really good.
Crispy's
It's a
like,
really
I'm
good
buying
cast.
this game now.
It's one of the better JRPG casts
Because
I've
it's one of
seen
those.
in a while.
It's one of those
For sure.
situations where you explore this world,
Yeah.
and then something happens,
Yeah.
and now you're at the
And
world in a
it's
different time,
different.
and like when you go back to places you've already been,
And you're like,
and things are
"No."
complete. Like, oh,
Wait. Okay. No, I have gotten to some time travel. I have come.
yeah, but better.
What did you mumble over there?
He said like the messenger,
the messenger.
but actually good.
My winner for favorite ensemble cast, though, I'm gonna give it to Yakuza 6,
Nice.
and that's because I really
Baby and all.
exactly.
Baby. I forgot about the baby.
Haruto is a great fucking baby, but you go
Best
to
baby of 2018.
you leave Kamurocho and you go to Onamichi because you're trying. I mean, it's the whole story thing. You're trying to find out what the secret of Onamichi is, because you think it involves what happened to Haruka early on in the game where she gets run over, yada yada yada. But when you go there,
Spoilers.
it's not a spoiler. It's the very beginning of the game.
What's the secret of Onamichi?
That is a spoiler because that's the whole fucking game. By the way, very complicated.
So Brad, to comment on how great Yakuza is.
But hold on.
Okay, sorry.
Because I haven't actually mentioned why I like the cast so much. When you go on Onamichi, you're sort of getting a little pushback from like a small local Yakuza family. Like they're kind of like getting in your business because you're kind of fresh on this bar lady. At least fucking Nagamo thinks you are. So the Nagamo and his little family. That he's a part of kind of becomes an antagonist at first, but eventually you just fucking join up with them and they're like your fucking family, and it's such a great like cast of kooky characters, especially with Nagamo in the mix, who is your rival at first, but then he like looks to you up as his hero and he starts calling you Aniki, which is like a term of affection almost, or like a leader. It's just a great, colorful cast of characters. The villains are good too. And it seems more manageable than some of the other Yakuza games because you're in the small town. But I really do adore that cast.
So what I wanted to say is spoiler alert for a honorable mention of one of my biggest regrets of the year is Yakuza 6.
Yeah.
And the reason I bring that up is because I had to capture footage for someone else. I happen to have a copy of the game, but I haven't played it. Sorry, I had only played like 2 hours of it. And so I was capturing footage of it to help someone else who needed some footage. And god damn it, I played for like an hour and a half, even though I only needed like 15 minutes of footage.
Yeah.
And it's like, God, the game's so fucking good. And it's not like I didn't play it because I didn't want to. It's just fucking this year had so many the past like 3 weeks, my list of games that I need to get around to that has like quadrupled.
Yep.
And just like, fuck, I haven't played that.
Sounds
yet.
Fucking tell me about it, man. Go on. What's
But yeah,
next?
so sorry, was that your winner, right?
Also, the head of that small whatever. No, wait.
That was your winner, right? Yeah.
Okay, that's my winner. Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead, Nolan.
Okay, so then my
gotta move.
best ensemble cast, because I already said my winner was Dragon Quest XI. My runner-up is actually Spider-Man.
That's my runner-up as well.
So the relationship between Peter and MJ and Miles,
that's so cool,
dude. It's so
the moment when they're up on the roof and they're just talking about stuff. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, this is
dude,
so
it's
good.
like the first time that Miles meets Peter and they have that conversation, and Peter's talking like, what do I do if I'm in a fight? Like Miles like, what happens if I'm in a fight? And Peter's like, man, you just gotta let me show you a couple things or whatever. That relationship they kind of build. What's up, Crispy? Don't throw my
I'm
pillow.
just thinking about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh yeah. Exactly. But no, yeah. So it's just like I really like that relationship. It's the Peter's like texting MJ and calling her on the phone and stuff like that when you're running around. And later on, like they get a little more involved with each other. So I really liked that.
There's
cast.
also some really good Peter and MJ stuff in
Yes.
the DLC.
No. Oh, I haven't played the DLC yet.
Just putting that out there.
Yeah. No. I plan on playing it at some point. But I was very surprised at that. I thought they did a very good job
Like
of nailing down those characters.
NSFW?
No, no, nothing quite like
But yeah,
that.
that was my runner-up. So yeah,
Cool.
My runner-up for best ensemble cast, I'm giving it to God of War. Okay, this is kind of going back to what I was saying. Is I think I don't know that God of War had like a particularly strong narrative. I'm not saying that it had to have one. That's not really what I think they were going for. I think what they were going for was really tight interpersonal drama.
Yep.
Between a tight-knit cast of characters, which they absolutely
It was very
pulled off with
surprisingly tight knit
with like 6 characters. Yeah,
like for a series that's known for
Yeah.
just having like every character in the fucking Greek pantheon
Yeah.
in one game, like to make a sequel that has like 6 prominent characters. Is
Yeah, but
pretty
they
impressive.
all get such time to shine, and it's
Yeah.
amazing. And I really think that whole cast right across is fucking like this the jewels in the crown of that game.
I don't want to get into spoilers, but the witch, that character.
You can't say the names of any of the characters.
Well, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. But that kind of spoils some stuff. Sure. But that character and that character arc and all of that stuff, like, dude, that was some fucking quality.
That'll come
shit.
up again later.
But it is like saying that a game about Greek mythology, like the old God of Wars, you can't say like Zeus is in the game.
Yeah.
Or Athena's in the game.
I mean, that was a little
You know
different.
they're going to be in this game because you know it's about Nordic mythology.
But like,
Norse
but
mythology.
part of what makes this game
Brad,
so
I did not know who that character was until I found out.
But like part of what makes the characters in this game I think so interesting is their choice to not just be super upfront about who they are. Like everything feels kind of like shrouded in secrecy.
Yeah.
Which is a totally different approach than everything that came before it in the series. So I think that's part of the reason why it's important to maybe be careful about spoilers.
Yeah. No, I think it's
What's
great.
your winner, Crispy?
My winner is obviously Red Dead Redemption 2.
Hell yeah!
I loved everything about Dutch's game. Like that whole cast of characters really felt like a family, and like
I felt like I was doing my part to take care of those people.
I felt
in a
like
lot
they
of-
weren't doing enough. For sure.
Okay, well there's that maybe a little
They
bit.
weren't pulling their goddamn weight.
It's really interesting too how like that family involves people like from the first game who are just like fucking bastards and villains. It's like Bill Williamson.
Yeah.
Like if you just know him from Red Dead Redemption 1, you're like, oh, it's just some fucking dickhead from John's past.
Okay, can I
He's
ask a
not
question?
like a great guy in this game, but you can see how he fits into
Sure.
like the family
But
unit.
do you do any like stuff with Bill that kind of fleshes out that character, or did I miss
You
it?
do later
You
on,
go on some
and
missions
like
with them.
like
Or
Bill
Fire?
starts revealing like a very like
He
kind
always
of
fucks up the dynamite.
like
Oh, shit.
like the one thing I think about Bill is like despite what a fucking bastard he is. Like, he still like has this weird sense of loyalty to Dutch. And like he's like a different character almost because of it in this game, because he's just like the loyal like henchman almost in this game, instead of being like this minor villain who struck out on his own and is just doing whatever the fuck he wants like he is in the first game. And like to take a character like that and convincingly insert him into a group of people that like I genuinely like enjoyed seeing stories about, like that I genuinely cared about, like I think it was really interesting. That whole group, like we were talking about on break, about how like characters like John's John, oh god, what's her name? Abigail. Yeah, Abigail and Jack, like how they show up at the end of the first Red Dead Redemption. You're just like, who the fuck are these people? Oh my god, he has a family. What the hell is this? You know, like he's kind of been talking about it, but like in a very like, it's not really like part of your image of him. You know, you think of John as being like this loner, cool hero cowboy, and then in the prologue of the first game, it's like him settling down and becoming a rancher with this wife and kid, and you're just like, oh, his wife's kind of a nag, and his kid likes to read books,
and uncle.
And uncle, yeah, that's right. And
Uncle's
uncle's there too, and you're like,
for
uncle's
nothing
just kind of
drunk.
like a fucking drunk fool. But then, like, you can
got
see,
lumbago, okay?
you can see their history, and like seeing their relationship from the sidelines in Red Dead Redemption 2, like seeing like the early days of John and Abigail and Jack, and seeing like
Part of what makes it so cool is that you do see it from the sidelines.
You see it from this like opposite point of view that's like real, like it adds a lot of depth and adds a lot of emotion and like kind of
so it adds
veracity
to all of them, and I think that's one of the situations, and that's kind of one of my biggest problems with the first Red Dead is Bill Williamson and Javier Escuela and all that stuff. Those characters don't get fleshed out enough, and
But
you barely
I gotta be honest, Bill and Javier don't get a lot of screen time in this game.
So I will say I wish they got more, but I do like the fact that I got to learn more about them. It's one of those things where it's like all I knew from the first one was John was being coerced into hunting down these people and killing them.
I will say this, by the time this game wraps up, you do have a very clear picture of how all of those characters ended up where they ended up.
Yeah.
And I think that's awesome.
I agree.
Yeah.
I like I said, this is also my winner, so we've talked enough about it. We don't need to mention it. I was going to say my runner-up again, like I forgot one of y'all mentioned it, Spider-Man.
At least
Spider-Man.
this
Yeah,
can't
that's me.
win your biggest disappointment or biggest regret.
Correct. It can't. Definitely cannot.
My biggest regret is that there wasn't more of it to play.
All right. yes, thank you. I will find
And
a
it
way.
can't win your biggest surprise, and it can't win your Asterisk Award.
That's what you think.
The only way
Hey man,
this doesn't win all your categories is because it doesn't make sense.
Hey man,
Son of a-
I'm gonna be honest. I was looking at this and I was like, I can do one of two things. I can lie to myself, or I can just be honest.
That's true.
This game takes home a lot of categories for me, especially in this half of the award show. But let's move on to our next category, which is best character relationship.
Okay.
Interesting.
My runner-up is from Celeste, and it's
Ooh.
Madeline and herself.
Yeah,
Her
the
inner
shadow
demons.
version.
I mean, this game is very much about kind of like coming to
Depression.
It's about
yeah,
depression
yeah.
or mental illness, or which obviously,
Coming to
it's sort
terms
of
with your own self-doubt and like
your own
kind of,
and accepting those things and
Yeah.
realizing that the only way to like move forward to reach to the top of this fucking mountain is like accepting and understanding yourself, right? And now she's like represented as almost like an actual villain, a boss fight at times even.
Oh, yeah.
And it's her.
Dude, that was some pretty cool boss fights.
Yeah, it was fucking cool. And it's Madeline versus, evil Madeline or whatever, is how she was represented in the game. But that relationship, and it's literally a relationship that grows through that game and culminates in a very healthy way, and that's what gets her to the top of this mountain. It's like that relationship is core to that story. It's everything to that story.
Yep.
And I thought it was really good.
I agree.
And my winner is, and I know a lot of people didn't play this game, but Crispy played some, is the Bard and Miriam from Wandersong. This is a... What?
Dude, I
No,
almost
like-
bought that game the other day, Brad.
It's-
I almost bought it.
Miriam's the one who like hates all the singing and everything.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
I mean,
then
yeah, she's the witch that you meet early on in that game that kind of tags along with you on your adventure. She's kind of a curmudgeon. Obviously, she hates
Kind of like
singing.
the opposite of-
she just kind of, she's almost like a nihilist at first, right?
Yeah.
But through the course of that game, that relationship grows and it deepens and it goes. It's like almost the most real, authentic relationship of the year, even though it's a witch and a fucking bard going on a quest to save, the fucking universe, right? But it's like there's these like small moments. Like there's a moment in like Act 5 or 6 towards the end of that game where I think it's optional. You just go to like a club and it's a dance club and there's everyone's dancing in the background. And then you see Miriam out dancing, which seems like so out of character for her to see her just dancing on this dance floor, just grooving, right? And obviously you have a dance button. You can dance anytime you want.
Yeah.
So you're dancing next to her. And then then they start conversing, and it's like a 20-minute conversation, just between you and her, happening on the dance floor as you're just kind of grooving, and it's like this shit is absolutely wonderful. This could have been a moment for me, like, of the year. That's how good it was, and all the way through the end of that game, that fucking relationship just blossoms and develops, and they're ultimately friends. They become, good friends by the end of that game. But like, again, I think that's really core to what makes that game great. And absolutely, it is, one of the big reasons that everyone should be playing Wander Song. Yeah.
Cool.
Brad, like I said, I almost bought this game the other day and I looked it up and it was like, I saw that it was like 10 hours. And I was like, oh,
yeah,
I can maybe squeeze
it was
that
over 10 hours
in.
for me.
But then it wasn't on sale. If it would have been on sale, I would have bought it like straight away.
Yeah.
But it wasn't on sale. But anyway,
yeah.
What's your runner-up, Nolan?
my runner-up for best character relationship, we talked about it earlier, Hank and Connor.
Yep.
Yeah.
I fucking loved their dynamic the whole game. And it's kind of one of those situations was I kind of liked the twist in this game, what happens with Connor, and I don't want to like spoil it too much, but it's one of those things where it's like who Connor is. Trying to go into this delicately.
I'm trying to remember now.
Stuff can happen to Connor.
Yeah.
And
Is that a spoiler?
Yes.
It would have been a spoiler for me because of the way my game played out. I had no idea that based on the results of certain situations with Connor, that this next thing happens never happened to me.
Oh yeah.
It never happened to me, which is crazy.
Did I miss something?
Did you finish this game, Nick?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Is what you're referring to happen to everybody?
yes. Yeah.
No, it doesn't happen. It's
Well,
a Connor thing,
certain
right?
things happen. Okay, hold on. Without getting into
Oh my
He's a
spoilers.
God.
fucking android. That's not a spoiler.
Correct. The fact that Connor is an android is not a spoiler.
Yeah.
He's from Dynatech. What is the company called?
No, they're
Cr-
called.
Dinosaurs?
I think they're called the Android Company.
Dynex,
Exactly.
I don't know.
So whatever. But anyway, we kind of briefly talked about it earlier, and I don't want to say I regret it, but I was like, as soon as we started talking about it, I was like, shit, this is like my runner-up for that category. But just how they were involved with each other, the conversations they have, like when you're ordering food at the fucking like stand, and like I said, there was just
Grossing out Hank by licking the blood.
exactly. But there was just definitely multiple
would they do it
times
that way?
where it was like, oh, do I want to shoot this android woman? Yeah, Hank would like that, and I shoot her, and he's like, why did you do that? And I'm like, no, son of a bitch, Hank hated that.
No.
And it was just one of those
I'm
things
sorry, Hank.
where, like, everything I did was I tried to make their relationship even better, just because
Yeah.
I liked that dynamic so much. But yeah, so that was my runner-up. My winner, why am I looking at this? I know what it is. It's obviously Dad and Boy.
Also my winner.
Yeah.
It's a hard relationship to beat.
It is.
Especially with a game built around, like Crispy said, close interpersonal relationships.
I think I've got to beat, but
Fair
it
enough.
is a great relationship.
And I can't get into. There's some spoilers that happen, and I wish I would have been on a spoiler cast because that's something I wanted to talk about and to clarify for those that don't
There's a
know.
moment
We're
that
referring to Kratos and Atrium.
There's Atreus.
I know his name's
There's
Atreus.
some particularly great moments with them.
Artorias?
Yes.
There's the one part where they like share the drink together.
Yeah.
Super great
But
moment.
what I'm referring to is it's
First time they
it,
pass the pigskin back and forth.
yeah.
I love it.
It's significantly later on in the game. Some character development happens, opinions change, and then the relationship then, I think, even goes to the next fucking level. And, like, it got to the point where I was like, this fucking, and I want to,
It's a very like
I want to spoil.
it's a very wonderful moment for Kratos because it's the first time where he's put in the position of like temperance and like reason of just like, all right, just fucking calm down.
Yeah,
You know?
he gets
And
like,
the gameplay implications of what Atrocitus is going through.
wait, what did you call him?
Atrocity. We're all just make his
You
name
know,
up every
the
time.
Red Lantern.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying.
I don't
After
get that one.
after that segment, that entire next fucking chunk of the game, I fucking loved that relationship. How the characters moved, how Kratos has been evolving this entire game, and how whatever boy's name is has been, early on, it's all him seeking to get his dad to like him and approve of him and like, oh, did I do good, father? Kind of like that. Versus that later on in the game, it's less like, well, fuck you, dad. Like, I really like that relationship, and it's gotten to the point where like I'm gonna replay this game. I try not to replay games
I will
I
replay
played
this.
recently,
But I will
like,
play this leading up to the.
it's one of the things where now that end of the year's wrapping up, I'm less stressed about, oh fuck, I don't have time to go back and play anything old. I regret playing Fallout: A Tale of Two Wastelands earlier in the year, but now it's like, well fuck, I might replay this real quick. I'll probably rush through it. I won't spend as much time, but I kind of want to get back into that story just because I really liked it. But anyway, yeah,
There's a
that's
lot of
my
great
winner
stuff
for
to relive.
best relationship.
Crispy, what's your?
Oh, okay. My runner-up for best video game relationship 2018 goes to the narrator and Horatio / the party from Pit People.
Okay.
Because the narrator of that game is like
A
the main
dickwad.
villain of that game,
Yeah.
and he's fucking incredible, and he's just like fucking up like Horatio's life just because it's funny.
Oh, yes.
And he's like, I mean, yeah, like the humor, the behemoth brand of humor is like especially
On
strong
point.
in this
How
game.
it's, I really wanted to do a funniest game of the year category.
God, that would win probably.
There's a lot of
It's-
good
Red Dead
choices.
Redemption 2.
Shut up.
That game is so fucking
I'm just
funny.
kidding.
You're not though. You're not.
I know I'm not.
The giant space bear, who's the narrator, steals Horatio's son and is like holding him hostage in space and making Horatio do all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then he's like,
The Space Bear.
It gets so fucking funny too.
"Well,
That
you
game-
should have eaten that ice cream when you had the chance, shouldn't you?"
Oh
That's a
man.
good game.
Oh, the
Yeah,
fucking he's great. I mean, that is like best villain of the year. I think.
The story missions are so good that you have to fight the urge to not to. You really kind of need to do some like side missions
Yeah.
to collect new characters and level up and stuff. But the story missions are so
You
good,
just
you want
wanna
to
get
just
to
do
'em.
those. But then you end up in a
But, like,
situation where you're like, man, this is really fucking
he's
hard.
even like he's even like the relationship is even kind of like mechanical in a way where like every few times like every time you go out to do a quest or every other time or something like that, like he'll just like pick up the city and like move it somewhere else and be like,
Yeah.
how about over here now? Like it's like fuck, like just to fuck with you. Like it's great. I don't know. He's so good. My winner, and I didn't know if this was gonna count, and then I decided I didn't care. But my winner goes to the main party of Deltarune, and that is Chris, Lancer, Susie, and Ralciel.
Which game is this?
Ralciel?
Undertale.
Deltarune.
Undertale's
oh,
like
right,
Think
right,
Undertale.
successor or whatever.
That
That's why.
whole thing, like, especially so, like Chris is like the character, the player insert character. So there's not a whole lot of like personality going on there. But the other three members of the party are Susie and Ralsel, I think is how you say his name. And then like the main villain that you keep encountering over and over again is this dude named Lancer, and Susie, who like is like a fucking like when you meet her at the beginning of the game, she's a bully. She hates rules and authority and like all this shit. And like the first time she meets Lancer, she's like, "Hey, guess what? I'm gonna be a villain with you." And then like those two run off
That's
to
a
be
good
villains together. And like they are the cutest, most like we're best friends having fun like couple ever. And like it gets to a point where like you and Ralsale are just like humoring them and like going along and like fighting them and battling them and like helping. Like there's a part where they're gonna build a machine to kill you and like you help them design it
Yeah.
just because they're having so much fun like being villains and like antagonizing you that like you see it as like being kind of like a healthy relationship for Susie because she's like never had friends before and you just kind of like want to like be a part of, like, you just want to help her, you know, like, be a part of it. And then, like, they all come into the fold at the end, and, like, all 4 of them are, like, a party. Like, it's just, it's the most saccharine sweet, like, most heartfelt thing I've played all year. And it was
But it's a demo?
fucking gorgeous. But it's, like, chapter 1 of a game that doesn't exist, so I don't even know.
It's been very frustrating. I was kind of ranting a little bit about this, but
Wait, I'm confused. Is Deltarune not, like, out?
It
that's
is,
the
and
fucking
it's
thing.
free.
Is what it is cryptic. The developer was cryptic, and then he told the fans to be cryptic about what the fuck it is. So it's really confusing, and I think it's just turning off people from picking it up and playing through it.
It's just really weird. I mean, he said that it was the first chapter of, like, something that's going to take years and years to develop.
Oh,
Which
one
is a
of
turn
those.
off. Is a fucking turn off.
Right, which is a turnoff. But the game does end in a way where you're like, I don't know. It ends in a way where you're like, oh, this whole, like, 4-hour experience was, like, the prelude to a game. So, like, extrapolating that out, if, like, everything I just played was, like, a prelude, does that mean that this game's really supposed to be, like, 60 hours long? It's, like, this huge, like, RPG experience. But it's still Undertale, basically. Like, it's weird. It's so weird.
It certainly sounds
But those
weird.
characters, like, are fucking top notch, man. Fucking great.
Alrighty. Alright, well, I already mentioned my winner is Kratos and Atreus from God of War. But my runner-up is actually going to be Peter Parker and
Just
Mary Jane.
really?
Okay, it's a
Fucking
first of all,
breeders.
first of all, it is a game full of like really interesting relationships between Peter Parker and
Other people.
Dr. Octavius.
Yep.
Peter Parker and Miles Morales.
Dude, come on,
Peter
that's
Parker
the
and
compelling one.
Aunt May. Like, there's some really great relationships in this game, and to be honest, I could probably make a case for any one of them. I guess I'm a little bit of a stickler for, you know,
Heterosexual
romances.
love.
I don't know, maybe, but like their relationship starts in a very interesting place, especially considering, you know, that those two characters have a very long history of in the comics and movies and everything of being together, and they start out not together and like aren't even talking to each other, and like you see that kind of progress, and I think that's really fun to watch unfold. And then there's some revelations later on in the story that kind of made me like tense up, like, oh no, what is happening? This can't be happening. I feel like you go on a ride with Peter Parker in this game with all different kinds of characters.
You're swinging
but for whatever
between
reason,
buildings.
But for whatever reason,
That
like
texting scene
I
is
really,
pretty good.
I
Yes.
really, yeah, the texting, and there's also some great stuff that happens in the DLC between these two characters. Yeah, I know. Sorry, it's the boring choice. There's some great relationships in that game.
That's not
it's
a
the
boring
boring
choice.
choice, but I love it. Sorry.
Okay.
Honorable mentions.
I'd like to throw out Kiryu and Nagamo and from Yakuza 6. Also, me and my Lance from Monster Hunter World.
Boo.
Also, I was surprised no one said Arthur and his horse.
Boo.
Brock
I
and
keep shooting my
Sindri.
horses.
Brock and Sindri.
Yeah,
Are
that's an
amazing.
honorable mention. Brock
And
Sindri.
like their relationship is specifically what makes each of those characters
So I
on
had,
their own
I had
awesome.
thought
Peter
about
Parker and Dr. Octavius.
Yeah.
I think that's a great
There you
relationship.
go.
I was going to mention I forget their names now, but the two main characters from A Way Out, and that's mainly because it's the fact that Nick and I, when we played, at least, were controlling them. But I did like their kind of different attitudes towards situations. So I mean,
They're
Was Nick the cop?
What?
dude, that was so long ago.
spoilers.
That's not a fucking spoiler.
Also-
Come on.
I don't remember. I don't remember who was the cop. I don't know.
Yes. I don't
Of
remember.
course I was.
He seems like he was.
That's
Next-
why this was a runner-up, not a winner.
Next
you a
category
fucking cop?
is best video game moment. All right, this has the most potential out of all of these for spoilers. Just be careful.
Dude, honestly, none of mine are spoiler.
All right, well then, maybe this will go faster because we're trying to avoid spoilers. Brad, what is your runner-up for best video game moment of the year?
Well, man, like, I'm going to avoid some of the more spoilery stuff in favor of, I guess.
Do you want me to leave?
Well, no, because I'm not gonna spoil fucking Red Dead or anything.
No, okay.
Do you care about Valkyria Chronicles 4 spoilers?
Ooh, I do.
Kind of.
I know you should.
Just be vague about it. Talk in generalities for this one
you know
category.
what? It's too hard to talk around because even if I don't use names, it's kind of easy to figure it out. So, I'll table that one
Okay.
in favor of a moment from Witcher Tales Thronebreaker.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot more characters and stuff in that game.
Sure.
There is one of my favorite characters in this game who's a badass, a great card in battle. Is I guess I shouldn't fucking spoil it. Is a great card in battle. Has certain feelings about like the Scoia'tael, right? But she's an awesome character and she's like really dedicated to
Scoia'tael are the elves,
helping.
right?
Yes, well
That's kind of
the anti-human elves, yes,
Yeah.
that hide and ambush.
Specifically.
more of a political group.
Yes. Well, I'll just say it's Black Rayla, right? Now, I'm going to say this because a lot of different things could play out very differently depending on decisions you make. She's very anti-Scoia'tael, and she kind of just hates non-humans in general, but it's specifically the Scoia'tael. But she's awesome and she's great, and she's very faithful to the cause. She's very useful. Like having her around gets you out of situations, both in the story and she's like probably the best card in the fucking game, to be honest. But then you go to like Mahakem. And you get this little like side story vignette where a lot they before like a dwarf, like when a dwarf comes of age, they kind of send them out of Mahakam to kind of see what humans live like, so they can ultimately decide, fuck this shit. They treat us like shit and go back to Mahakam. That's sort of part of like coming of age for a dwarf, right? Sometimes they stay, but it's actually very rare. They usually come back, right?
They're like Amish people.
Yeah.
A little.
And once they come back, they're like, okay, we're going to stay here for life. We understand, right? Well, there was like these group of concerned parents are like, look, like we sent out like 40 of these dwarves and like none of them have come back. Like, what the fuck's going on? This is not normal, right?
They're out partying.
So you go to investigate, like, what happened to these fucking dwarves, right? And you find out, like they fucking all, like, joined the Scoia'tael, right? and they, like, ambush you, and you're like,
radicalized.
okay, this is fucked. So you beat them in battle or whatever, and then they're all, like, sort of in, tied up in chains or whatever, and you're just conversing, like, what should we do with these people? Should we send them back? Should we let them stay free? And, like, while you do this, and this is a little bit of a spoiler, but it doesn't have to happen because you might not have Black Rayla at this point. While you're conversing about what to do with them, she goes into like the wagon or whatever, and she fucking cuts all of their throats. These young dwarves, she cuts all of their throats. And like at that time, and it's crazy because they hinted at like earlier in the story, like Queen Meve is like, you find some like fucking Scoia'tael in a cave or whatever, you ultimately decide, I'm just gonna leave him alone, it's not worth it, right? But like after that scene, you hear like Meve telling like Reynard, who's like kind of her colonel or like
Her right hand man,
like look, I need you to like hang back and make sure fucking Rayla doesn't go back to that cave. But it's just like a little like one-off like thing that she says, and you're like, okay, well, that's cool. That's just cool, like character building, storytelling, or whatever, right? But she does this thing at this moment, which, by the way, this is optional. It's a side story. You don't even need to have Rayla. She does this thing, and I'm like so like aghast that I'm just like, get the fuck out. It wasn't a decision where she leaves. She could have stayed. I could have let her stay, but I'm just like, get the fuck out, and I just get rid of my best card in the game.
That's nuts.
It's crazy because I loved this character. This was a character where going into these awards, I'm like, this might be one of my favorite characters of the year, best ensemble cast, because you have people like Rayla and all these other, like dwarves and fucking. There's even a gnome that you can recruit.
What?
Fucking. Oh, well.
That was
but
You're getting sidetracked.
There's a character from the books.
Wait, is this
also
your runner-up
there.
or
It's
your
great.
winner?
Oh, this is my runner-up.
Oh
What
my
category?
god,
Brad,
oh my
come
god,
on.
Brad, winner.
So yeah, that moment for me, but it's a moment. You got to talk
know.
about your moments. Was crazy.
No, you don't.
Was crazy. And I wanted to talk about a certain moment from Valkyria Chronicles. So I'm not, and I'll briefly mention and one that's more gameplay focused. We don't do like best level or anything. So I'm gonna mention, like, I guess specifically 3-3 from Astrobot is the one where you're down in the ocean and you get swallowed by a whale. And once you're in that well, like, my favorite music track in the game kicks in. It's the one where you're in caves, and then all of a sudden, like, the water starts coming at you in waves.
Yeah.
And
It changes how you interact with things.
Yeah, I'm really big, with like water levels and stuff.
No.
And that was such, like, more than any moment in the year, it was the happiest I've been. And that moment was such a wonderful experience for me in VR. It, like, single-handedly, like, convinced me that I am forever in support of VR and people doing cool things in VR. It's not like before where it's like, no real games for this little sideshow attraction, only bullshit, right? Because the real games should be on real consoles. This convinced me that I want all of my favorite developers to get experimental with VR because it's my favorite level in a game I absolutely adored, and it had me grinning with my jaw on the floor at the same time. I was giddy playing level 3-3 from Astrobot.
There's some great levels that made me feel that way.
Absolutely, my favorite experience / moment of the year. Play that game, play that level. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
Nolan,
That's my winner.
Nick,
what's your runner-up?
my runner-up is from a game no one here is going to guess. I guarantee it.
Red Dead
$50.
Redemption 2.
Nope.
Then I have no idea.
Moonlighter,
Nope.
Frostpunk.
Nope. You're not going to guess.
a game you got an email about. None of us played.
Nope. Multiple people have played it. My runner-up game, best gaming moment, is from Sea of Thieves.
Oh, okay.
And it is the first time and the reason is because I didn't know this was a thing in the game at the time. When me and my crew ran into a kraken, and I didn't know at the time krakens were in this game. And, like, holy shit, like, we're just, like, going back to the fucking, like, harbor to sell our loot and whatever, and the sky gets kind of dark. It's like, what's going on? All of a sudden, fucking tentacle just comes out of the water and wraps around the ship. And it's like, what the fuck is going on? And it just turns into this fucking, oh, God, man, the cannons. We need more cannonballs. Like, holy shit, fucking start shooting it. Oh, God, it's grabbed one of us, and he's fucking, like, in the arm, and it's, like, fucking flailing around. And, like, when it picks you up, it's like there's, like, a mouth on its arm. And it's like trying to suck you in, and so you're fucking trying to slash the mouth with your sword.
Were you playing with the community when this happened?
Yeah. And it was just a fantastic fucking moment. And then we beat it. And I can't remember who said it, but one of them was like, "Oh, I've encountered a kraken before, and like we lost, and this is the first time we've like defeated a kraken." Yeah. But that was a fucking great moment to
cool.
Successfully defeat the kraken.
I want to play Sea of Thieves for like the amount of time that you guys played Sea of Thieves.
Dude, it's good. Play it for like 8 hours, if even. Just get some people together, play it.
Did you play that much of it?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, I played like 2 hours of it.
Oh no, I played like at least 2 streams.
Maybe 3 hours. I streamed
Nick,
once.
you played Sea of Thieves?
Yeah, I did it on a stream one night.
So the only reason I did it, Brad, was because like Xbox was like, please play this
free.
game, and so yeah, they made it free. You could play like for like 2 weeks or whatever.
Because it's with Game Pass.
Game Pass.
Yeah. So then my winner for best best video game moment is from Return of the Oberdin. And specifically the first time I got 3 matches correct, and it kind of like started revealing stuff. Oh, these are correct. But then every time I heard that fucking noise, dun 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 dun. Every time I fucking selected something, and it was like dun dun. Oh shit, I got 3 right, and it would go back.
The best is when you're like totally guessing.
Oh yeah,
and then
the thing is that moment when it's like, oh shit, I got 3 right, and then I realized like, oh, I've selected more than 3 like names and
you start realizing the ones that you're getting are not the ones you were
some
expecting.
Of these are wrong, and it's just that kind of moment when the music starts going and you're like kind of revealing like, oh, these are the ones I've now confirmed, and so I now definitely know who did this and that, and it's just like every time I correctly got information in that game and started like progressing further and filling out the book and stuff, dude, like that was just, and it's just like one of those things where like every time me and Bernadette would just look at each other and smile like, yeah, we got got it.
That's everything in that game.
Yes.
Getting that 3, oh, it feels so good.
So yeah,
and you're like, wait, which 3 was it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
And when you have a long shot and you're fucking right, you're like, I fucking told you.
Yeah. And it slowly will like go through and start one. It's like, okay, who do we get? Oh, ooh, that was a guess. Oh, that one we weren't sure on. But no, man, I fucking loved that. And that's what I'm saying. It's not just technically one moment. It was multiple moments. But it's just like the first time when the game's like, hey, you got something right, and it's just like slowly kept getting more and more. Great fucking moment.
All right, Crispy.
Okay, my runner-up's weird.
Okay.
A little bullshit, but I don't care because it filled my heart with joy. Gave me joy. Sparked joy in me, as Marie Kondo would say. And it was a trailer reaction to the Super Smash Brothers World of Light trailer. There was like a reaction where there was like a whole room of people watching that, like the opening cutscene from World of Light, when like all the characters are getting fucking like murdered by those beams of light, and then Kirby gets away, and the cutscene like cuts to like Kirby like crash landing on that planet, and like as soon as Kirby like as the stars started coming out of the sky and they zoomed in on it, and it was Kirby like hanging onto the warp star, like everyone in this room was like, ah, like started cheering for fucking Kirby, and I was like, that is the purest thing I've ever fucking seen, and it was amazing. It was such a good moment.
It's
and, like,
great because Kirby, man, this is gonna make me sad. Kirby is the one person to survive. HAL Laboratory, they made Kirby, but it's also the creation of Iwata, who's passed. Right. So it was cool that Kirby was the one to survive.
Like the fucking the hero of light.
Poetic.
Yeah. It was amazing. It was
also he has a warp star. They explained it also scientifically why he was the one to survive.
Scientifically,
but, I think it was more an emotional thing, but whatever.
It was great though. It was a great moment.
Hey, also the reveal of Twilight Princess back in 05?
Yeah.
05? E3?
Man.
Also moment of the century.
It was amazing.
What's your winner?
There was a thread about that.
My winner is basically the entire ending of Spider-Man. From like the final mission through the credits.
Yeah, you were gonna say Red Tape, but then
I can agree with that.
My runner-up is a little bit more specific, but I also totally agree with you because that entire.
In fact, I'm gonna pin a little caveat, a little addendum onto that, and say my favorite gaming moment is the ending of Spider-Man from the last mission, final boss fight, through the end, through the credits, into the into the fucking. The comic tie-in that they did right after that game came out, that was in the comics. They've been doing another like Spider-Verse thing where they're pulling in like Spider-Man from all the different universes, and they had an issue where they dealt with PS4 Spider-Man, and the Spider-Man that they send to go find him to bring him in is just poetic. It's amazing. It makes this like great moment between these two characters.
I do think it's cool.
That's like really informed by like the ending of that game.
I think it's cool that they did such a good job with that version of Spider-Man that like they're totally taking that into consideration and pulling it into like comic book canon and stuff. That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
But my runner-up is, I agree with you totally because that entire climax with the final narrative drama, the final fight. Everything's amazing, but specifically my runner-up was the final scene between Peter Parker and Aunt May at the end. So beautiful, it brought a tear to my eye. That's all I'm gonna say. Like that whole climate, like all those relationships kind of come to a head at the end of that, specifically between Octavius and Aunt May and all that stuff. Like everything is just like so beautifully done.
Okay, I'll just say, I just gotta say it. So spoiler alert. Just spoiler alert. Don't, if you read comics, whatever. But so the tie-in comic I'm talking about, the alternate reality Spider-Man that they send to get the PS4 version Spider-Man is the superior Spider-Man, who is a Spider-Man that is Dr. Octopus.
What?
In a Peter Parker clone body.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Yes.
What are you talking about?
It's like these two Spider-Men squaring up, and it's like Peter, like it takes place like a month after the final Doc Ock fight. And it's like he's still like getting over the whole thing and like still kind of all fucked up about it. And then this like alternate reality Octavius comes and is like, "Hey, I'm Spider-Man, you're Spider-Man, we need your help." And like they get into a beef, and it's like they get into this whole fight, and it's all just like that version's like Peter Parker just like working through like all of his like frustration and anger at like losing his mentor.
That sounds
It's fucking crazy. It's great.
That was your winner, right?
That was my winner. Yeah.
I'm gonna make a joke.
Okay,
I mean this in the nicest way possible. I do find it funny that his 2 moments of the year are a trailer reaction and a comic book.
Fucking nerd.
I don't even play video games anymore, man.
Also, really good D&D session.
Yeah. Oh, if you guys want
The tie-in is I skipped a video game podcast to have this session. I'm sorry. It's funny.
The joke's still
If
going.
you guys knew what was going on in my D&D groups, you'd be like, "That's pretty cool."
I'm sure we would.
My winner, so my runner-up was the Peter Parker Aunt May scene. But I can't be very specific about this. So I'm not going to talk much about it. It is Red Dead Redemption 2 related, but it is very specifically kind of what unfurls in the epilogue.
Okay.
And there's a very important character relationship that's playing out in that, and like kind of the way that rolls out of the main story of Red Dead Redemption 2 and how it kind of flows into where we end up with Red Dead Redemption 1. I think is absolutely beautiful. It's another scene or moment of the year. There's the moment specifically is more of like you're leading up to all this thing, and then the thing that you're hoping would happen happens.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I'm gonna say. Because in both my choices for best moment of the year are both scenes that kind of like made me really happy and like brought a tear to my eye, but also because it was making me very happy.
It's frustrating for me because I also kind of don't know what you're talking about.
I know because I'm trying to be very vague about it. I'll talk to you about it during the break.
In which game?
Red Dead Redemption 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
There is a goal that you are working towards in the epilogue of Red Dead Redemption 2, and when I say the goal you are working towards, is the goal the character is working towards, and that when that thing finally transpires, that thing finally happens.
Okay.
It's a beautiful moment. That's all I'm saying.
Is that your winner?
That's my winner. Yeah.
Okay.
Runner-up, or sorry, I keep saying runner-ups. Honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions. I will say the end of Chapter 6 in Red Dead Redemption, I thought was really good. I mean, when Arthur says "Oh Dutch," man, that was a perfectly delivered line.
Yeah.
Damn, it hurt.
Man, the acting in that game is so fucking good.
It's really good.
For some
Beautiful.
people.
For most.
Frostpunk, dude, has some great fucking moments, like clutch, like victories via like surviving storms with like literally hours left on my coal supply. The generator's about to overload from me putting it in overdrive to try and keep the town warm and then barely making it. Beat Saber, dude, that game, when you're fucking when you're playing a new level you've never played before and it starts throwing some crazy fucking shit at you and you still get it, like, oh my god, dude, it feels so good. Then my last honorable mention is Metal Gear Survive when I turned it off. Great fucking moment.
I have some I have to mention here. I really liked the moment midway through the messenger that involves like the next messenger. It was such a hilarious, awesome moment.
I was gonna say the moment in the messenger where like the new, like the main mechanic like kicks in.
I'm actually specifically referring to the moment with the next shopkeeper and the next messenger was a really great moment. The baby rugby with the Hirose family, your small Yakuza family in Onamichi, where you're tossing around Haruto. Beat Takeshi lobs a baby across the air, who you might know. I mean, so Beat Takeshi. And actually, there's 2 people in that family that were in Battle Royale. Like, that I just realized that. Well, anyways, these 2 characters from Battle Royale toss a baby to one another. That's such a
when
great
you say
fucking
Battle
moment.
Royale.
Battle Royale, the Japanese film.
Mm-hmm.
The movie Battle Royale. Those 2 characters?
There's 2 characters in that Hirose family, which are like
Actors that were
like 2 of the main characters from Battle Royale.
Oh, I thought you were saying like this specific character.
No, the actors playing
the young guy in the Hirose family. Wait, y'all didn't play Yakuza 6.
I didn't get far enough
is
into
like
it
the
to
main
see
character of Battle Royale.
I have an honorable mention.
Oh, fucking.
Wait, hold on. I'm not done with mine. I also like to mention, I couldn't really talk about the Valkyria Chronicles scene, but it is a scene that I probably saw coming, and I didn't really think it would hit me as emotionally as it did, but it actually resonated way more than I thought it was, and I think it was because of the way they set it up. It was one character was asking another character to do something he really, really did not want to do, but he felt like, well, this is like the most horrible decision I'll have to make, but I realize it has to be made, and like that scene is really well done. It's really fucking well done.
Towards the end, or
yeah, it's towards the end of that game, and it kind of sold me on their relationship and that character. It's a really good moment, and of course that whole chapter is really fucking great. Just was not expecting it to be as effective as it was.
Honorable mention for me: Liftoff in Subnautica.
Ooh.
So good.
I'm not there yet.
So good.
I'm not there yet. I'm
Also,
still
Subnautica, barely
looking for keys or something.
barely squeezing my what is the big submarine called?
Cyclops?
The Cyclops.
Squeezing my Cyclops
the
through like
Agrius.
this tight ass cave.
Mine's called the Belafonte.
Squeezing the Cyclops successfully through one of these like really narrow caves into like one of the deepest parts in the game.
Is that the one that has like you go into the cave and then you go a little farther and there's like a bunch of volcanic activity and then
I've been down
Yeah.
there.
Trying to squeeze that Cyclops down there was terrifying, but I needed it because of all the storage. I know you could have technically made it down there with the
Same area. One of my favorite moments of the year was I went down there with a non-fully upgraded prawn suit before I had the jump jet upgrades.
Yeah.
And like the fear in my heart, knowing that getting out of here would be nigh impossible, but I was so pushed forward. It was a whole experience for me. I was down there for like at least an hour, not knowing if I would ever be able to get back out, and then finally getting back out, and the sigh of relief I had getting back from this adventure down there was insane to me.
Also, any moment in Subnautica where you make it back to the surface
Oh,
after
when you're almost out of breath and
break
like
through the surface of the water and
Yeah.
you see the sunlight after you've been like super, super deep. Ooh,
One of
so
the
good.
funniest moments in Subnautica was the message you get when you first unlock the prawn suit of saying that getting the prawn suit always emboldens like divers, even though they need weeks and weeks of training, because that's exactly what you do when you get the prawn suit. You feel like all powerful, but then you realize I fucked up. I need to upgrade
I don't
this
know
thing.
what I'm doing with
I don't
this
know
thing.
what I'm doing. But yeah.
So good. Next category. Best surprise. All right.
Biggest surprise? I think this is kind of, a simple one, right? Because it's typically, I award this, and I think we all do, to the game that the games that we didn't expect to end up loving as much as we did, right?
Correct.
Like games we went in with low expectations and came out, this is on my fucking top 10, typically, right?
Yeah.
Well, so the runner-up for me is absolutely Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom, because this really wasn't even much on my radar until I saw a really dope trailer, and even then I wasn't sold on it because, they did that Dragon's Trap remake a couple years ago, and I heard that was kind of all right, but it was still a remake of a very old game, and it's a series I had never played really much of before. So going into this game, I didn't expect it to what it turned out to be, which is in a year of amazing Metroidvanias, plentiful Metroidvanias, this is the one that is on top for me. It absolutely stands above the rest. This game, from beginning to where I am at the game, which is 20 plus hours in, I'm towards the end of the game, constant surprises as I played through this game, both in the game but also ultimately I was really not expecting to fall in love with this game the way I did, because when you start out it seems actually kind of relatively simple, but it blossoms into like this wonderful experience. I adore Monster Boy, and I implore people to try this game. I know it's kind of got a hefty price tag for what you'd expect from a Metroidvania. Everyone says Hollow Knight was $15. Well, Hollow Knight shouldn't have been $15. And
Hollow Knight was $15.
I think it was $20.
it was 15. I think it's still 15.
That game deserves
because
to
it
be,
goes on sale for 10.
That game
often.
should be full price.
It should be, and that's what I'm saying.
Fuck.
Monster Boy deserves it as well. It is a wonderful experience, and I really, really was not expecting it to catch me off guard. But my number one is, of course, it has to be. No one expected a game that's using a VR mascot to be as wonderful and amazing as it was, and that's Astrobot Rescue Mission, which is literally
I knew that was going to be good from the tech demo.
well. Shut up.
Nobody expected it to be like Mario 64.
It was a
levels
cool
awesome.
tech demo.
It is a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
No one
yes.
expected them to be able to turn that into a full, fleshed out game.
That is true.
That is like absolutely.
Did you finish
one
all
of
the challenge levels?
Most of them.
So like it's via capturing footage. I've been playing more and more of them. I'm like, God damn, some of those challenge levels are really fucking good.
Real fucking hard too, like
Oh,
the
yeah.
one shot ones that are like.
Oh, dude, yeah.
But this is a mascot for VR. This was the Playroom little robot.
He
You
went
know
up- he
that
went-
Nolan shot out of his ass.
He went up my butt.
or
Shot
into his ass.
Into his ass.
Yeah.
Into his ass.
And
Yes.
they created something that I think stands up there with like fucking Mario.
Yeah.
And it's insane. No, I don't think anyone expected this game to be as great as it really is, which is for a lot of people and for me is the definitive VR experience, I think.
Absolutely.
So I absolutely love Astrobot, and I never saw that coming.
Nolan?
Fair enough. So my runner-up for biggest surprise is Beat Saber. That is a game that I had heard about, and I was like, whatever. I've seen it. I've seen other games do it before. It's nothing special. But like every other fucking good VR game, until you put on the headset and get the motion controllers in your hand and start playing it, you don't fucking know.
This was another one. This was a game that I was hearing about on another podcast before. Like while we were all talking about Astrobot, people were like, "Oh my god, Beat Saber, fucking amazing!"
Yeah,
Did you
dude,
try it
it's
out?
No, I haven't yet. No.
dude, you can play. I offered it last week. You
I
didn't
know,
play it.
I
I
didn't have
played it
time. I
for
was
like
trying to get the
half an
show
hour
edited.
last week, dude. I had to capture footage for it. Played it for like an hour and a half. Like I was capturing footage for it last night, and for some reason, I think it's just because there's so much going on in the game. The bitrate was kind of like fucking it up, and my footage ended up coming out bad. And I had played for half an hour, and so I had to do it again because I needed better footage, and I ended up using a different tool to capture it, and it came out well. But still, I was like, man, I don't regret having to play more of it.
I'll play more about it.
But dude, it's one of those things where it's
Yeah.
like you fucking get in the rhythm and you get in the groove and you fucking start. Like Brad was even commenting on it last week when I started playing it, and he was like, "God damn, like you're in some of like the later levels where
Yeah,
it gets
I'm not
fucking
that far.
intense."
Yeah.
It's
hard.
I did. Oh yeah, it definitely is. I did not see that coming. But then,
Now Nolan goes to regular raves.
oh yeah, all the time.
His glow sticks.
My clear winner for biggest surprise for me was Frostpunk.
Yeah.
That's something. Once again, it's a game. Brad had brought it up, and I was, meh. It sounds okay. Like it looks like it's kind of cool. Whatever.
And then I was like, no, Nolan, you would like this.
And then I played the shit out of it. And it's one of those situations where I had to capture footage, and I only needed 15 minutes, and I played for like over an hour.
And I played for 16 hours.
Dude, it's one of those things where it's like I booted up. I was like, oh, I'll just capture a little bit of footage of the endless mode. I'll just do a little bit. And dude, that game is so fucking good. It's like that's one of the reasons it's my soundtrack of the year. It's one of those indie games where, similar to like Hollow Knight, where it's like a little fucking gym, and the developer did a fantastic job of putting out quality content. And
Even their soundtrack on YouTube is like these beautiful like renderings of the world, of panning around real slow.
Yeah,
with all
like
the music
cities and
plays,
stuff,
we're
and then, like,
"What?"
Did you ever do that free Christmas DLC? There was like a DLC for Frostpunk that was like almost like Christmas Carol like themed or whatever.
well, that's when they released the endless mode.
I thought they did like an actual Christmas.
It might have been a
one.
Christmas,
But it seemed kind of like the idea seemed really fucked up, like cutting off Timmy's arm and putting a robot arm in there and sending him into the mines. That seems a little bit much. I don't know if you actually do that, but that's what I envisioned.
So the thing was, I haven't played a whole lot of Frostpunk recently, just because it's end of year, so I'm trying to
Yeah.
play a bunch of other
Yeah.
shit, and I played however many fucking hours pre-Christmas. So I would say 99% of Frostpunk that I've played was before this most recent DLC,
Yeah.
which is free because Frostpunk, all the fucking DLC is free. Everything, you buy the game and you get it all.
Dope.
I might be imagining.
No,
this.
I remember they did add something. And like I said, I didn't check out all of the new content they added post the Christmas release. I probably will. But yeah, that's why that's my biggest surprise of 2018.
Cool. Crispy, runner up.
My runner-up for biggest surprise 2018 is Beat Saber.
When did you play that?
I played one song last week.
Are you serious?
He played it after the podcast last week.
Actually, it hasn't even been a week. It was on Thursday.
Isn't it fucking dope, right?
And
Huh?
I do remember Crispy going, "Oh wow, this is cool."
I was like, it took me 2 seconds to be like, okay, I get this. This is great.
Dude, that's the craziest thing
I
about
was
VR.
gonna say like, I want to get done with the show because like, I want to play one more level before I go.
Dude,
but
you can fucking do it.
but
I made Malia play it, and even she was like, "Oh, this is kind of dope."
Yeah.
Beat Saber and my number one most biggest surprise
Yes.
of 2018, Paratopic.
Oh man, surprise me.
That game is fucking weird and great, and I love it.
Surprise.
We gotta move. Wait. Honorable mentions?
I haven't
No.
gone yet.
Oh, you haven't
You
gone.
bitch.
Nick,
Is it
honorable
not God
mentions.
of War and Red Dead?
No, it's not God of
I'm
War Red
just
Dead. You
kidding.
son of a
Were
bitch.
you surprised?
My runner-up and winner are both two games that are genres that I never play.
Oh,
Jurassic Park.
Jurassic
Yeah.
World Evolution,
Yeah.
which let me just say, it's a combination of like it's a lot of really cool tools for building, a lot of room for creativity, but also just like it hits you with all the the Jurassic Park music and like the weather effects and like hearing all
Jurassic Park aesthetic is very strong, potent, and enjoyable.
Yes.
And I really think that's why it's so popular.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is. And that's why this game is so great. But anyways, that's my runner-up. My winner, though, is Subnautica. Oh my god, I never play games like this. I might never, ever play another game like this ever again. This is not like... I don't feel like this is going to make me go out and play all these kinds
What
of,
about
like,
the
survival...
Below Zero expansion?
I mean, that'll play, yeah. But, like...
You guys make me feel like a bad person for not having
You are.
finished
You're
that
bad.
game.
that's so good.
I was like, oh, this will be cool. I'll
Doesn't
play
mean
this.
anything coming from you, Brad. You say that all the time.
I start a lot of games where I'm like, this is really cool, and then like I play like 10 hours of it, and then I get distracted and end up playing something else. I played this game for like 55 hours.
I'm actually really. I'm actually surprised that you even finished that.
That's why it's my winner. I had no clue this game was gonna hit me the way it did. But like I said, kind of like The Witness, I was like spending all of my time away with a notepad, like writing down lists of things I needed to do, resources I needed to get,
Yeah.
paths I wanted to take, things I wanted to build.
I knew
I was like on computers and like on my phone everywhere, like going to the wiki and seeing what I needed to do to craft this, which would allow me to build this.
My downfall
which,
is that I'm not as organized as you or Nolan, and my Subnautica play is like a disaster. I mean, I got shit everywhere. I don't even know where.
You gotta get
I
organized.
just moved shit out of my base into my submarine, and I had my submarine for like forever. I just
man.
wasn't using it properly.
You gotta get organized, man. But anyways, yeah, that's easily my winner. Subnautica is fucking amazing, and I
Real
can't
quick,
believe I played it.
Real quick honorable mention for me, Dusk is a game that I always thought looked cool, but I'm always super skeptical of these throwback 90s shooters. A lot of them kind of missed the point, and this one got it so right in ways I was never expecting.
Honorable mention: I was surprised I didn't like Dusk.
You play a couple of
Thronebreaker.
Thronebreaker.
Thronebreaker's an honorable mention for me
Thronebreaker.
because I thought it was just going to be fancy Gwent.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I didn't expect it. I think most people didn't, and that's why most
yeah.
people haven't played it.
You know
but
what
it
mine
is-
was?
What?
Getting a Switch. You guys.
There you go, man.
Damn.
There you go, Merry
Dude,
Christmas.
you know, since our gameplay awards last Thursday,
Yeah.
I played like a majority of episode 3, and oh my
Dusk.
god, I would have been mentioning Dusk way more last week. Holy shit, it is seriously one of the best shooters I've ever played in my life.
Shut up.
I don't get it, man. Anyway,
Because you've
That's-
only played a couple of levels.
but like, I just don't like the way it feels. Anyway, sorry, that's just me. I know.
You have no idea.
All right, we're gonna take another quick break. This is our last break of the evening. Brad, well, first of all, when we
Should I
come,
set up?
yes, when we come back, we're gonna do our last 4 awards of the year, and it's going to be biggest disappointment, the Asterisk Award, which is basically where we get to kind of like honor anything.
We'll talk
that
about it.
Yeah.
Go.
Biggest regret and the number 11 award, the game that barely missed our top 10. But Brad's gonna introduce his soundtrack of the year.
So for my soundtrack of the year, I'm going with Wander Song, which is a wonderful musical game, and it makes sense that the soundtrack is incredible, and it is. Here you are. Oh, just real quick, I'd like to say, as a runner-up, the same people who made this soundtrack also made the Full Metal Fury soundtrack, and that soundtrack is also incredible, and it sounds so different from the Wander Song soundtrack. It's amazing.
All right, well, we're gonna take a quick break, so don't go anywhere. from the break, everybody. We have 4 more categories to get through. We're going to just start off. We're going to get right into it with the biggest disappointment. Waiting
disappointment.
is a little bit. This is a negative award, I suppose. But
It is.
Brad, what is your
My
runner-up?
runner-up for biggest disappointment is, I think, going into it, it was one of my most anticipated when we do, like, kind of the beginning of the year bullshit, right?
That's unfortunate.
It was one of my most anticipated, and I love the developer, but Ni no Kuni 2.
That is also my runner-up for biggest disappointment.
Ni no Kuni 2 was a big disappointment for me.
That is
I thought
unfortunate.
I didn't really like the combat in the first game, so when I saw that they were kind of
Dude,
doing a brand new battle system, I was like, oh, this could like really hook me. What I wasn't expecting was it to be a kind of a low-budget, boring JRPG for me, and it really was. I was super disappointed.
Honestly, I didn't hate the combat. It wasn't horrible.
It was okay.
My biggest problem was everything else.
Yeah.
My favorite parts of Dragon Quest XI are my least favorite parts about Ni no Kuni, and that is the character interactions in towns in the main story. Like it's infuriating. And I hate to kind of talk about voice acting, but that kind of played a really big part.
Oh my god! Even like big story moments,
Literally,
aren't voice acted.
giant jaw-dropping revelations in the game. It's just fucking text.
So budget, dude. I don't get it. Like, maybe this project didn't have the biggest budget, but like it's so disappointing. I love Level 5. They made Dark Cloud 2, which is one of my favorite games ever, and other cool games. But now, like this should have been Dark Cloud 3, but it makes me think maybe it shouldn't have been Dark Cloud 3 if they didn't have the budget to even put in voice acting in some of the big story sequences, man.
I liked the kind of little my little kingdom, my little little king story. I kind of like the overworld combat, and I kind of like the whole building up your town and putting some money in here and you'll get some more out of it and all this stuff. But when I can tell you the exact moment I decided I was done with this game, it's when you get on the ship and you sail to the new city and you get to the port and it starts revealing all of this big kind of stuff that's going on. But once again, it's all just like really boring. And it's not that it's just text.
It's your characters are standing around.
The characters just physically stand there and their eyes and head will move a little bit and they'll maybe move their arm a bit. But like nothing fucking happens. And it's boring. It's like just fucking move them around a little bit. Have them pacing back and forth in a scene. It's just like, oh, we got to this town. It's just like shots of the camera panning across the town with like a few people like at stands like doing nothing. Yeah. And it's like, what the fuck it's just boring.
Yeah.
What's your winner, though?
It bored me. My winner for biggest disappointment, though, is a game that I have owned for a long time when it was in early access, and it was the game that I was like, I can't wait till this finally comes out of early access because I'm going to play the fuck out of it. It was Dead Cells. Yeah. I really expected Dead Cells to be like one of my favorite indie games of the year, to like instantly hook me. I owned this game before, even though I knew I wasn't going to play it, because I was that excited for when it came out of early access. And I played, if you look at my Steam thing, I've played 88 minutes of that game. Oh. And none of those 88 minutes really grabbed me.
Wait, so you played it after it came out of early access, right?
Yes, I waited.
Okay.
I waited. It just was kind of like mindless, like running through,
say, Brad,
fighting dudes. And
recently I had to capture footage to help someone else out. And it's definitely better out of early access. Early access is what kind of helped me determine I didn't want to play this game. Oh. And then don't get me wrong.
I believe you.
I still don't love it. I enjoyed some of it. But yeah, I'm glad I didn't.
Well, no, I mean, I'm an outlier here. Most people fucking adore this game.
Oh, I know.
This was on a lot of lists too of like best of the year. Like Giant Bomb, who do their like crazy 9-person deliberations, had it at number 2.
Wow.
Of the whole fucking year. So I'm an outlier here, which is kind of why it's such a big disappointment for me, because I was expecting the world of this game, because people said, oh, there's like crazy weapons. There's a whip and it's fucking good. And I didn't care about any of it because it was just fighting things with like not much level design. It was kind of a bummer. Yeah. So that's it. That's my biggest disappointment.
What is your runner-up, Nolan? Or was that Dragon Quest XI? Or sorry,
Dragon Quest XI was delightful.
Sorry, Ni no Kuni 2.
Ni no Kuni 2 was my runner-up.
What's your winner then?
My winner for biggest disappointment.
Winner, quote unquote.
Yeah, well, this was a hard category because I was disappointed by a lot of games. But my winner for biggest disappointment, Far Cry 5.
That's also my winner.
Nice. It's one of those things where coming off of 4 was fantastic. I never played Primal. But 4 was just a fantastic game. I have so many memories of myself and Jaeger playing that game together, getting in the quadcopters and going off on adventures and doing this and doing that and all this shit. And it was an enjoyable experience. While the gameplay of 5 wasn't horrible, I did enjoy some of it. I enjoyed some of like the companions and stuff like that.
I personally love the world still. I think the
world's pretty good.
The world's great.
The story was bad.
That's the sticker for me because like all of the quote unquote boss characters or enemy characters are one dimensional.
I thought Faith, right?
Faith, yeah.
Yeah, I thought she was the most interesting out of all of them.
She was kind of interesting because she would kind of just randomly show up.
Yeah, that was the interesting stuff about it. But like my biggest problem, so there was quite a few things in this game that were kind of fetch questy more so than been in the past. I miss, and I understand why, but I miss skinning animals to get their pouches and collect upgrades. I kind of miss that. I understand you can't really go around skinning too many creatures in that area. It's
you couldn't do that in this game?
I don't believe you could. No.
Oh, I guess not.
Well, what's your winner?
That was my winner. Calm down, Brad. I'm talking about it. And still, honestly, one of the biggest things that pissed me off about this game is the co-op.
Yeah.
Is the fact that you can jump into anyone's game, but you don't progress in your game at all. Literally, you just stop wherever you were in your game. You go
if
do
you're
a bunch
the
of
guest
shit.
on somebody else's
you're
game,
a guest, and you come back with whatever items you picked up. So you'll have some fucking ammo and like a grenade, but that's it. And that's infuriating. It's fucking 2018. Why is it that if I want to play with another friend, it's like I'm doing nothing. You can literally play the entirety of the game, but like not have played the game.
Yeah.
Because you're just a bystander in someone else's world.
I had a really fun experience with Joseph one time. But coming out of that, knowing that like he went back to his game without any progress was awful. So that kind of sucked. And to be honest, I feel like there's a lot of stuff I love about Far Cry 5. Like it was my soundtrack of the year. I think the world and the atmosphere is fantastic. Mm-hmm. I liked the general like concept going into it. And to be honest, if the game had a good ending, I think it could have turned itself around and maybe even been, in my top 10 or something. Because I tend to put Far Cry games in my top 10 because I love the series with a passion. And coming off of Primal, which was probably my favorite in the series so far, like I can't believe they kind of dropped the ball so hard on this. Not to mention, like, the game does have a problem with like way too many fucking enemies. Just like,
oh yeah, there are definitely times where they just throw so much shit.
Like
at you.
I feel like the world is supposed to feel a little more desolate in this game. Yet there's just like thousands upon thousands.
Yeah, it's like it's supposed to be like this cult, and
it's
it's like, goddamn, like cults generally don't have like 10,000 dudes in them.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous, but
neither do O'Driscoll.
You're right. But that, I don't know, it just feels so weird and out of place here, and that game has like one of the worst endings I think I've ever seen. It's ridiculous. Yeah, that's my winner. And Nolan's.
Yeah.
Crispy, what's your runner-up?
I'm gonna be kind of quick about this. My runner-up and my winner are my runner-up is Detroit Become Human, and my winner is Far Cry 5.
Oh, there you go.
Detroit, I think technically was a very well-made game. I disagree with it on an ideological level. Far Cry 5, I think, had a lot of technical problems, and I also disagree with it on an ideological level. And I think
both those games were kind of like they had problems with their.
I think my biggest gripe with those games is that they both were kind of shameless and thoughtless in the way that they were trying to capitalize on current events and current political turmoil and social turmoil. And it was very obvious that it was just kind of like a cash grab because neither of them had anything interesting, constructive, or, at all inspiring or even thought out to say about their respective subjects. Like it was very much trying to build buzz to sell games.
One of those games is just basically a metaphor. And not a very good one at that.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah, they're
Cliche,
both.
too.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're both really stumbling into areas that like they just kind of don't get or understand or really have much business. I don't know. It's a whole thing, and some people are going to be really pissed off about that and want to fight me on it. And I don't know, go fuck yourself.
Most people agree with you on these topics. Actually,
No, I know, but I mean, we're on the internet.
Oh, I see.
Oh shit, we are.
I see what you're saying.
Wait, this is live?
Nick, do you have a runner-up?
My runner-up is Octopath Traveler. I can't believe it didn't come up before this.
Yeah.
Well, I
Um,
wasn't anticipating that.
I
game
think
as much as you.
Octopath Traveler is a game that had a lot of potential, and I would even say it's probably a good game, but it does not carry. It has no hook. Like what they anticipated the hook being, is not very interesting
or well executed.
or well executed. It's downright confusing at times, and as a result, like the whole having 8 different characters doing 8 different stories is an interesting concept, but none of them feel particularly fleshed out or interesting in any significant way.
Yeah,
They
that's
just feel kind of
repetitive and boring.
They feel kind of cookie cutter, and combat does feel a little repetitive and boring. Like it just feels like these days, if a JRPG, in order to be really successful, I think has to have some kind of like really interesting twist on combat, like,
Or party
like-
members that talk to each other.
Yeah.
or that.
I
Yeah, I
enjoyed
think
the
that's- I think
enjoyed
that-
the combat to an extent. In
The
Octopath
combat, I think,
Traveler.
is fine.
I mean, combat is, but like it is so traditional. It
Oh,
is
yeah.
so like
Cookie cutter.
classic JRPG format. Like
In a
it
bad
doesn't-
way. While Dragon Quest is that in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, they don't talk to each other. That's a huge bummer.
It's an honorable mention for me as well. Also honorable mentions real quick. A Way Out. I loved Brothers.
Yes.
But
A Way Out's
dropped
on
the
mine.
ball.
Yeah.
Tomb Raider was a disappointment for me. I thought I was going to like that a lot more.
Fallout
and Below.
76.
Ooh, that's a good
Well,
one.
I wasn't
That's-
expecting that much out of that, but I was expecting.
I would have loved the new Great Fallout game, and
I
we
would
got
have
like
enjoyed
the
it, too.
absolute
I was
opposite of
psyched.
that. Like
I was
like
hyped.
spectacular fail.
I was expecting
Brad?
to love Below because I love Cappy. I
never even
love
played
My
it.
Magic Clash of Heroes, Super Time Force. I think Cappy's one of the best indie developers out there, and I played like 45 minutes of Below and was just so not into it, and that's like kind of a real tragedy for me. To be
Yeah.
So like Brad said, A Way Out, that was one. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed my time with it, but overall just kind of disappointed at the end. Metal Gear Survive, I wanted to not like it because fuck Konami, but I wanted to enjoy it because, like Chrissy had mentioned earlier, just kind of the crazy shit in that universe, but it ended up being dog
I
shit.
mean, if it had been a fun game, that would have been like a really bold and like
Sure.
like commendable risk to take. But like, yeah, I mean, it was just another game.
Vampire?
service.
I really wanted to like that game.
That's
and
another
I
one,
played
yeah.
quite a bit of it, and it just never hooked me. It
I
was
played it
just
for like 2 hours and it didn't
like,
hook me.
don't-
and-
like-
I was waiting for you guys to be like, get on this game right now,
Dude, I wanted to be
And
like that.
That never
It
happened.
just never got there. And then another one for me is Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. Come the fuck on, Game Freak and Nintendo. Make a good Pokemon
I think you should
game.
calm down on that one, though.
Nope.
Because like apparently it's pretty good.
You know what? So was Pokemon Yellow.
but hey,
Yeah, but
this year
like,
we're supposed to get a fully fledged Pokemon game
We'll
for the
see.
Switch, so we'll see what plays out there.
What's next?
Impress me.
transpires?
we
Nintendo.
haven't even heard.
All
it
right,
yet.
we're getting down. Okay, our next award is we're getting into the
Asterisk.
the
Award.
Asterisk Award. Now this is
the
a
ones that don't technically count.
yeah. So this is just
Entries that don't count.
any game that we want to
That
call
we played
attention
in
to.
2018.
That we played in 2018 that may not necessarily be a 2018 game or may not be relevant in any of the other
Could be
categories
or it could be early access. It could be an expansion or DLC. It could be,
it's pretty much anything.
anything that wouldn't technically anything that would, if it was on a top 10, would probably have an asterisk next.
You know
to
what?
it.
I feel like
mean?
Ed's in chat and he mentions this. I feel like this would be a perfect category this year for Hollow Knight.
Well, a lot of people are doing that.
I know,
with
but
Hollow Knight.
other people don't have asterisk awards. They just do it. So anyway,
So as far as stuff I played in 2018, I have to give an asterisk to Radiant Historia Perfect Chronology because that's technically an enhanced port with like remade art, but it is a really great JRPG in a year where I found a lot of the new JRPGs kind of disappointing. Finally, revisiting, because I actually played very little of it before, but digging into it, they added like full voice acting in this one. Way more voice acting in this 3DS port than there is in Ni no Kuni 2. It's really well done. If you want a good, very much story driven JRPG, try out Radiant Historia Perfect Chronology. not technically a brand new 2018 game. But my winner, I'm going to give to Dying Light, because this is a game that I didn't actually play much at all when it originally came out, and I always kind of had an inkling that I might like it because I like kind of the movement.
Everyone else told you how good it was.
Well, yeah, but that is a game that's still reviewed like under like 80% on Metacritic.
You know what, Brad? People are wrong.
Well, I know, but I'm saying for whatever reason I didn't get to it. When I finally did give it a full, real chance, I was surprised by how much I truly liked that game. And
Brad, I remember asking you to play it with me. I remember being like, Brad, will you co-op this game with me?
I'm not a co-op kind of guy. Even when I did play it co-op this year, I didn't like it, and it wasn't until I started playing it single player that it really connected with me.
Who'd you co-op it with?
Crispy and Carlos.
Oh, okay.
What the fuck does that mean?
The latter, not the former. Calm down.
No, I mean, I've played co-op games with Carlos and it had a great experience. This just wasn't one of them. But when I played this single player, I was surprised by how much I liked it. Now Dying Light 2 is one of my most anticipated games of this year.
Yeah.
So it is, of course, one of my favorite games experiences of 2018, but it has an asterisk next to it.
All right, Nolan, what's your runner-up?
My runner-up and my winner both come from the same time frame.
Oh.
And my runner-up is Fallout 2. We played it as part of 1998 month. And goddamn, because I originally had I tried a while back to start playing Fallout, the original Fallout, just because I know so many people love that game. And I just couldn't get into it. I wasn't feeling it. And even when I first started playing Fallout 2, I couldn't really get into it. And I'm going to feel horrible because I can't remember his name. But a community member, and I really should have looked this up earlier, reached out to me and gave me all these tips and pointers.
Let's just call him Vincito.
It was not Vincito. But anyway, so was it Recycled? Yes, Recycled. Reached out to me, and he just gave me so many tips on trying doing this. And hey, you were doing this wrong. You need to do it this way. And that really helped me out. And those few tips really helped me with that game. And I started getting into it. And I started enjoying the world more and the exploration and the just the fact I talked about it on the podcast. But a fucking main story quest item got pickpocketed from my character, and it's like, what the fuck? That would never happen nowadays.
Because they had balls back then.
Exactly. And I fucking just murdering people left and right because they fucking pissed me off. Anyway, that was my runner-up. But my winner is Suikoden 2. Because I played that as part of 1998 month, and I kept going after 1998 month. And I put the game down mainly because we started getting towards the end of the year, and I realized, fuck, there's so many games in 2018 I haven't played. But that is definitely a game I'm going to finish. It is extremely enjoyable. I really like the story. I really like the gameplay, especially for a game of its time. I wish I would have played this game when it first came out, but I didn't have a PlayStation when it first came out. But whatever. It was every part of that game. I've had fun so far. I love the characters. I love trying to find new characters and switching them in and out of battle and seeing how their combo attacks work together. What is that move called? Not combo. There's a term for
their unite
abilities. Fucking fantastic game.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, Crispy.
My runner-up for the Asterisk Award for 2018 is Annihilation.
Okay. The movie?
The movie starring Natalie Portman and Oscar Isaac.
I was like, was there a game called Annihilation?
I mean, that would definitely deserve an asterisk.
I think that
plays.
Incredible film.
Two asterisks.
Double asterisk, Annihilation the movie. It is. I do really like that movie.
That is an incredible movie.
That is a good movie.
It is a wonderful piece of metaphorical storytelling.
I hear it is one of the rare occasions where it is a better film than it is a book.
I've heard that too, although
I've heard that from three different people who read the book after seeing the movie and were like, the book is not good.
It's a visually striking movie.
Yeah, it's a very visually striking movie, and it's a very subjective film.
I watched that video you sent me, Crispy. It was good.
It was right.
Yeah,
it's
very
great.
good.
It's great. Yeah. And my winner is Deltarune. Because,
what the fuck is Deltarune?
Yeah. Because nobody even knows what it is.
But it's great. But it fucking deserves honorable mentions. I'm gonna say No Man's Sky, The Abyss, and Beyond, which were both No Man's Sky expansions that came out this year that were both
pretty dope.
Very, very nice.
Nick hasn't gone yet.
Did a oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay.
That's all I wanted to say.
My runner-up for the Asterisk Award this year
Oh, and
is
Shadow of the Colossus.
Shadow of the Colossus
Oh.
remake. Actually,
you spoiled
Shit,
it.
I'm
you
sorry.
son of a
I'm
bitch.
sorry.
Shadow of the Colossus remake.
Shadow of the Colossus remake was a pretty damn solid fucking remake. It is true as hell to the original game. It doesn't deviate from that in almost any way at all. And for that, I think it's I think it's fine because I think that the original game is a masterpiece, obviously, and this is one of the best remakes I've seen in quite some time. My winner, though, is actually a game that was on my top 10 in 2017, but I played more of it this year. I restarted the game over this year because I played Hollow Knight on the Switch.
Oh, nice.
And I think specifically Hollow Knight on the Switch is fucking incredible. Like,
But you haven't finished it, right?
no, not yet.
Sony's gonna announce the Vita 2 and that Hollow Knight's coming to it, and you're gonna be like, I'm restarting for the Vita 2.
Not happening. The Switch port of Hollow Knight is fucking incredible. I absolutely love it. I think I prefer it to the PC version personally.
I disagree.
But that's just me.
It deserves the biggest screen you got in your house.
I can play it on the big screen I got in my house. In
But-
fact, I
but
have
when-
on several occasions.
The people who wanted it on the Switch are not doing that.
But I don't even give a shit, dude, because I took that game on a trip with me, and I played it on the plane. I played it at night when I was laying in bed. I played it on the go, like in several other that game has gone with me all over the place, and it is an incredible fucking game
It
to
is.
play on the go. It is
Some would
incredible.
say it's the best game of 2017.
I'd say it's one of the best games of 2017, and in some cases 2018, depending on how you look at it. But in fact, it was only like my number 7 on my list last year because I hadn't played enough of it, I think. But if I had finished it, if I'd finished it now, it could be my game of the fucking year. I don't fucking know, but it's incredible.
Honorable mentions?
Honorable mentions for
Real
me.
quick, I want to say I Expect You to Die. One of my favorite VR games.
Was that this year?
But
No, it
it
wasn't.
didn't come out this year,
Yeah.
but I played it this year. It's one of my favorite VR
I
experiences.
forgot I played that.
I
This,
played
I
that
played
the
that this
first
year
time
too.
that you did.
Dude, that game is so
an
fucking
honorable
good.
mention is a goddamn Spyro game. I played Spyro 2 from that Spyro remake collection.
Dude, I
And
played.
you know what? Kind of a delight.
It's I that's an honorable mention for me as well. But I played the original Spyro the Dragon on that remake on that trilogy set, and it's delightful. I fucking love it.
Also, I'm gonna mention the I don't remember the name of the game.
So
Fuck. It's like Rune Blast, Spell Rune, Spell Blast, Spell.
Oh,
Rune
your
Blast.
little battle royale game
It's
with
Battle
spells?
Royale Wizards
yeah.
I
with
finally
like
watched footage of that, and it looked
with
pretty
like
cool.
the magic system from fucking Divinity Original Sin almost. So
So
it's like everything's elemental in
the the only reason this didn't make my list yet is because I haven't finished it. Resident Evil 5. I started playing that with Nick co-op. I'm enjoying that game.
Technically, we were playing that in 2019 though, but this is the Asterisk Awards, so that's
Sheet.
all.
Long-time defender of
Oh,
that
shit.
game.
But that's cool.
People
That's a
lump it in with 6 and
big
say
old
Resident Evil
asterisk.
sucks.
I'm really enjoying that too. We're gonna finish it on the stream tomorrow.
It's a good fucking video
Yes.
game.
Next
Next category.
Sorry, I didn't get to mention my one honorable mention that I had
Oh.
was Watch Dogs 2. I played that this year.
Oh, yeah.
That game's fucking
It is.
dope.
It
Well,
is.
Nick,
You're right,
Delightful.
Chris
You know what,
Davis. You were
Nick?
right.
For my biggest regret,
Which is our next category.
my runner-up is a game that I feel bad I didn't get to because it is a very, very well received by everyone who's played it, but I don't think a lot of people did. Prey Moon Crash. Prey was one of my favorite games of 2017. Chris Davis over here is filleting the game all year long,
He
and I
has been.
really wanted to get to it, but I didn't get around to it. And it really is like everyone I know who's played this game says it's fucking wonderful. I really regret it. Prey Moon Crash, but my winner is, of course, obviously, Crosscode. Because I truly believe that if I had played Crosscode earlier in the year and got through it, it would have been near the top of my list for favorite games of 2018. That's how strongly I feel about, the 10 hours or so that I've only played at this point. I will absolutely finish this game. I've talked some about it. I absolutely adore it. I will get through this game and I will talk more about it. But it is my biggest. What are we on?
Biggest regret.
Regret.
My biggest regret of the year of 2018.
All right, Nolan.
I knew I wasn't going to have any overlap with Brad because I'm pretty sure he's played both these games. But my runner-up for biggest regret is Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom.
It's good.
I've been hyped for that game since PAX like 2 years ago or some shit. And it came out and it kind of I knew it was coming out, and I got an email from I'm on the devs like distro, and I got an email, and I was like, oh, I need to follow up on that, and I just never did, and then it came and went, and all of a sudden it's the end of the year, and it's like, God damn
There's
it.
so many good sequels,
I know.
dude. I just played through an area that was so tricky, dude.
You're playing on your Switch, right?
Yeah.
That's like a perfect Switch
It's
game,
good.
too.
Shout out to the Haunted Manor, dude.
Shut up,
Oh.
Brad. And then my winner for biggest regret of 2018 is Valkyria Chronicles 4. As soon as I heard this game was coming out, and I was like, you know what? I never finished the original Valkyria Chronicles. I'm gonna fucking play this one, and then I didn't. And I'm fucking kicking myself in the ass because I know everyone who's played it said it's so fucking good, and I hate myself for not playing it. But yeah,
It's
All
good.
right.
It's real good.
Crispy,
My runner-up for biggest regret is Beat Saber,
which you played 4 days ago.
which I played 4 days ago, one song, and maybe I'll play another one tonight. But I should have played more of it. And my biggest regret, actually, the one that I don't really know that much about, but I just feel like maybe it's just like this wonderfully like surprising white whale out on the horizon. The Missing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people have
Was
been
that
telling
one?
me to play this. That's the new Swery puzzle platformer.
Oh, yeah,
It's like
yeah,
Limbo
yeah.
by Swery,
Yeah.
but it goes places. I hear the
What
story's crazy.
sweary game doesn't go places?
Shit.
But I actually hear this is one of his more like thoughtful, restrained, like it. Well, restrained. You like rip your head off to like solve puzzles, but it's basically Never Dead but good.
Okay.
I do regret that as well.
Nick,
All right. My runner-up for biggest regret is.
Did I say Limbo but good? No,
Yes.
Gamerbeck said
Yeah,
that.
you
Fuck you. Limbo's great.
My biggest regret
You said
is.
Never
My runner-up is Monster Hunter World.
Fuck you.
Bad choice,
I did have a
It
session.
has a story.
I did play a session of this with Chai Tai and Crispy and Stephanie and which is Chai's girlfriend, and we had a lot of fun. And they taught me some of the ropes, and I was enjoying it. I dicked around a little bit by myself after that, but I haven't had a chance to go back to it because I've been just trying to finish up a bunch of Resident Evil games and finish up stuff for the top 10, other stuff that I had already started. And I just wish I had tried it sooner, and maybe I would have played a little bit more of it and been. So I could even feel like I could even consider putting it on my list, but I haven't even like dipped my toes in to this
Big
game.
DLC coming up.
I know. It's a game that I'm definitely going to try and play more of. Maybe I'll stream it. I think people seem to be interested in maybe me streaming it. So, but it's far too late for it to be in my top 10, that's for sure. But my winner, though, is a game that I tried to rectify a little too late, and that's Dragon Quest XI. I've played about 15 hours of it so far. But it's a massive game, and I haven't even met all.
then.
I told myself like if I had all the characters, I'd maybe be able to make a judgment, maybe consider putting it on my list because I am really enjoying it. But I haven't even. I'm missing 2 characters, so
Jade and Rab.
Jade and Rabbit. So
there's some good characters.
So, but I'm loving
twist
the
there,
world.
too.
I'm loving.
yeah.
I'm loving the world. I'm loving the combat. I'm loving the story. So I mean, just for what it is. And I like the music too, despite the fact that the whole caveat to the music.
Oh, yeah.
I think Dragon Quest just in general is just it makes me happy. It's a very comfortable, happy.
I almost wanted to do
Feel-good
most
RPG.
positive game of the year category because I played so many positive games.
Yeah.
In one
And
song.
also those I feel like those are rare these days.
Honorable
Thi-
mentions, real quick.
This category is my longest list.
So
of
many,
honorable
but for me,
mentions.
there's sort of a theme. It's big PC titles that I started early in the year, but I just couldn't feasibly get to and get through. BattleTech is one I played a lot of early on, but I could not get through that campaign. Pillars 2, I played like a fucking second of that, and Frostpunk is another one. These big fiddly PC games, I just couldn't physically get to my computer to get through this year.
So, like my honorable mentions rather, Kingdom Come Deliverance,
Yeah.
Wonder Song, Just Cause 4, Mutant Year Zero, Ashen, Monster Hunter World, Moss, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Below. Yeah, there's a lot of fucking...
Shadow of the Tomb Raider, you can.
Hey, dude,
Okay,
Come on.
Sorry.
come on. That game has
That's what,
that game has some
it's an
amazing
honorable
puzzles
mention.
in it
Yeah.
and some fun exploration. Dude,
Yes, no,
come on.
the puzzles are good.
I regret that I haven't finished Yakuza 0 yet.
Fuck
Ooh,
you.
that
Fuck
game's
you.
so good, Crispy.
I know.
It's so good.
Because I need to finish that before I can play.
Have you taken over the Sunshine Club yet?
Actually, I've been doing a lot of Sunshine Club.
Okay.
Yakuza 6 is probably a big regret. That's like the
Oh yeah,
best
thank
game.
you. Yeah, Yakuza 6.
Best game I still have in shrink wrap sitting on my desk.
All right.
I know.
Any other honorable mentions?
No.
Valkyria Chronicles 4 is a big mention for me as well. I got about 17 hours into it, and I haven't gone back to it yet. Oh, man. I feel like my biggest regret, though, in general, is that this is also... I don't really regret this. I spent so much time playing Resident Evil to prepare for this remake that I didn't actually finish as many games this year as I normally do from the actual year.
Pretty dope.
I know, but I enjoyed going back and playing all these Resident Evil games because I think Resident Evil is still one of my favorite series of all time.
Nice for you to remember that Resident Evil 4 and 5 are actually good, Nick.
Oh, fuck off. I already knew they were good.
My biggest regret is the limits of time and mortality.
Yeah, exactly.
We got one more topic, though.
Last topic of the night, last award category of the year is our number 11 award. This is our games that are just barely missed our top 10 list, which we're going to be releasing in the coming weeks.
Feel bad.
So number 12 and number 11.
Number 12 and number 11. So
my runner-up, my number 12 game, I feel bad it didn't make my list because, Yakuza 0 was a big reason I got back into the series, but Yakuza 6 just missed my list. I really do appreciate a lot of the new improvements that game had to the engine. Never had a better Kamurocho than I had in Yakuza 6. And I love the cast. It was really good. It was really, really good. But, these are all games we love. Yep. They just missed our list. And my number 11 is another one I feel bad about not making my list. I kind of bumped it off towards the end of the year. That's Celeste. Celeste is seriously one of the best platformers from a level design perspective that I've maybe ever played. And it has a great story, style, and soundtrack that goes along with it. It really is. Maybe not my favorite game of the year, obviously. It just missed my list. But maybe one of the most perfect games of the year, quote unquote, if that makes any sense. It's really, really good.
Tightly knit or tightly made.
Very, very well made.
All right.
My number 12 is Guacamelee 2. This was a game, actually both, this was originally on my top 10.
Yeah.
But literally within the past month, it got bumped out of my top 10. And then my runner-up, or my winner, or my number 11 is Crosscode. This was a game that, I wanted it to... It's just, I didn't have enough time. Like Brad was saying, if I had started this earlier in the year, and it bumped over Guacamelee 2. I've enjoyed it more than what I played at Guacamelee 2, but I just hadn't had enough time to play it. And I tried over the past couple of weeks to put in as many hours as I can. I'm playing it whenever I can and kind of rushing through some stuff to try. But it's a big game, and I still don't feel like I have a good grasp on the game overall.
I get a feeling right now it'll win an Asterisk Award in 2019.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
You know what? I've been so careful not to put it anywhere near my top, keeping it off of lists for me, because I'm gonna fight it next year. I'm gonna fucking fight it. If it deserves a spot in my top 10, I don't give a shit what Chris Davis says. I'm gonna put it there. Carlos put Discord, Carlos put Discord on his top 10. I'll let him put up whatever overlay he wants. It could say fucking, Overwatch or whatever, but I'm gonna talk about Crosscode because fuck you, Chris Davis.
I would Overwatch it.
Actually, I'm just kidding, Chris Davis. You do a really good job with those.
No,
videos.
Brad, just talk about it when just overlay be Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah, the overlay will be Kingdom Hearts 3 because there's no way that's actually gonna make my top 10. But I'm gonna be talking about Crosscode. You guys will remember that.
But don't actually say the name of the game you're talking about, and just see how long it takes people to realize this is not.
I'll
Kingdom
spring it
Hearts.
on them at the last second.
All right.
Assign whatever game I want.
All right, Crispy.
My number 12 game of 2018 is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Very good game.
Thought that was gonna be your number one with a bullet. Didn't you?
With a bullet?
I'm just now. Never mind.
No, it's great.
You still fucking around with Robin?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, fuck your Robin.
What? Sorry, what? I'm sorry.
I fucks with Robin.
Robin
Can we
with
back
an
up
eye.
a second? What are we talking about?
Robin with an eye.
Robin is a Fire Emblem character.
Oh.
Yeah, Nicholas. Nobody cares about your girlfriend. My number 11. I'm sorry. My number 11 game
You bitch.
is Celeste. For a lot of the same reasons. It is a frustrating game at times, but goddamn,
Dude, it's tough.
is the platforming mechanics just fucking tight.
Did either of y'all beat the 8-bit game in that?
I got Well, so I got
Yeah,
very close to the end.
you find on the fucking computer.
I got very close to
forgot
the
about
end.
that.
As soon as I unlocked it, I got very close to the end. But then I started having abilities that I hadn't come across in the main game yet.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't want to keep going with this because I feel
See
like
that?
it's spoiling shit.
I
and then I
powered-
never went back to
powered through and I finished that, but it was a fucking
it. It's
bitch.
cool. It's cool.
Oh my god.
Nick. 12.
My
and
number
11.
12. This just changed.
Oh my god.
You're 12?
Nick, no,
My
it
number
didn't.
change. My number 12 is Ashen.
Ashen.
My
More
number
like
12 is Ashen.
Ashen.
Okay, Ashen is a great.
More like mission.
Ashen is a surprisingly great Dark Souls clone.
Yeah.
And not only that, it is cool to play a Dark Souls clone that is more bite sized. It is. I finished it in like 18 hours.
That's
It's.
not bite sized, but
I mean, for a Dark Souls game,
more
it's-
games should be that length. to
You know,
be honest.
it's a really.
Yeah.
It feels good to play this style of game and not have it just take over my life. For
Yeah,
the next,
yeah.
you know, for months on end.
Touche.
Everything seems meticulously crafted, and it is just it's on point. It's a great game, but you know, maybe a little. It maybe could have if it had done a little bit more that was like original. I think it could have.
I
ended my
expected it
list.
to maybe show up on like world building or visuals for you.
Yeah, I thought about it, but didn't
Anyways.
quite.
What's your
make the cut.
11, Nick?
My number 11 is Guacamelee 2.
Oh.
Yeah.
Guacamelee
man.
2 is such a tight platforming experience or a tight Metroidvania experience. It is so good, and
It's
like
really great.
like so many of the challenge rooms feel like fucking boss fights. Like it, and I
That when I did that the key challenge that you like had tweeted out of that crazy platforming run.
Yeah.
the one that just
With the
fucking
conveyor belts
just,
and stuff?
the one that just
It's
ruined me.
fucking insane, but like it's some of the best platforming of the year. It really fucking.
The,
I mean-
the most frustrating part with that one was I got so good at it, I was like going
You're
too
going
fast
too
at
fast,
times. It's like,
yeah.
God damn it, I have to slow down now, and it's like throwing off my
some
rhythm.
point,
It
I
took me like
realized that
100
the
tries, but damn it,
chicken-
I got it.
I realized that the chicken runs faster.
Yes.
Through that you can use that to catch up.
Yeah.
And that kind of.
But then you gotta like not go too fast.
Yeah,
with the chicken.
exactly.
It's crazy. But yeah, like
intense.
I think it's a testament to how good the game is that like I pushed through my frustrations with some of those ridiculous platforming challenges, and I did most of them.
I'm bad
So-
at this stuff. Like when you're climbing the equivalent of the tree in this game. I think it's a tree in this game as well.
Yeah,
Right?
well, there's one level that's going straight up.
going straight up.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I get so like shifting dimensions and shifting forms. I was losing my mind.
I know, but it's so cool and it's so tightly
Yeah.
designed.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's fucking incredible. But like Nolan said, it does feel a little samey. A little-
And what's your
little-
number 10, Nick?
I'm not telling you.
Damn it.
God,
So
I
close.
don't even know if I've decided
Thought
yet.
we were gonna get it.
No, we're not getting it. Anyways, that's it, guys. That is it for our award show. I thank you so much for listening. I know we've talked for collectively about 6 hours here about 2018, but you know what? That's the way it goes. 2018 was an awesome year.
Chris Davis, what's your number 11?
Overload.
Overload. All right. You're on.
Sweet. Anyways,
Also,
we will be working. We are hard at work on our personal top 10 lists. Once we get all those out, we will release our community top 10 list. We will also be releasing a site-wide top 10 list that it kind of is put together using a point system, which is going to be exciting. You can kind of see what collectively we as an entire site thought of the year and how they're ranked. So we'll be releasing those in the coming weeks as we get those done. Keep your eyes peeled for those. And when you see those out there in the world, watch them, tweet them, share them. We'd appreciate it. And a reminder once again, if you have not taken our surveys yet, our community surveys, please check them out. We'll post a link to them in chat. You can also find links in the show notes and on 4playernetwork.com. That's what I just said. Take the surveys, Chris Davis.
take the survey.
Take the surveys.
Take the survey.
There's the surveys in chat. Of course, if you haven't yet, please join us in Discord. It's discord.gg/4player. We'd love to have you there. We're not going to have time to read the last response from Miss Elizabeth tonight, who's our supporter spotlight, but we have one more regular show in the month of January, so we'll be reading her final responses next week on the show, which, again, reminder, for the next couple weeks, we're going to be doing the shows on Tuesday nights. So,
Or exactly 3 more weeks.
yeah, for 3 more weeks, Tuesday nights. After that, we'll be getting back to our normal Thursday night slot. But we'll be reading the last responses from our supporter spotlight for January, who's Miss Elizabeth, on next Tuesday. So thank you so much for listening. That kind of puts a bow on our awards for 2018.
Yep.
And we'll get back to the our usual.
We're free.
We'll get back to our usual Mamma Jamma next week for do our first regular show of the year.
Talking about stuff, man.
Talking about fucking
Ace
video games.
Combat. Is RE going to be out?
Not by
No,
next
it's
week.
the
No.
week
I mean, we
after.
can talk about the one-shot demo. I didn't play it.
Nope.
So Chris Davis can talk about it. But anyway, yeah,
2018.
we'll have plenty to talk about.
2018 may be one of the better years of video games in some time.
We've been saying that like every year for the past like 4
You know what?
years.
You know what? Great year. Probably not as good as 2017.
Dude,
I'm gonna say that.
2017
2017 was like
nuts.
insane.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. Of course, you can find all of our shows, all of our stuff over at 4playernetwork.com. Check it out. And until next Tuesday, good night.
Good night.
Bye.